Sunspot Gallery. Please subscribe to the channel. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Floetry, it's Floetic, it's Floetic, it's Floetic, it's Floetic, it's Floetic, yeah. Floetry, we're alright. I'm the closest and I'm alright. She's a songstress and she's alright. What? Letting them know. Yeah, I say what's up? What's up with you? You feeling good? We feel it too. We're gonna mess now, so with this groove. I step on one, you step on two. Now when we move, we're feeling the vibe, right? Said if we move, we're making a vibe, right? And if it's day or if it is night, we're feeling alright. Said we be alright, alright. What? You let your body move, feeling it inside.
Ah, yes. You gotta love the enthusiasm behind that, ladies and gentlemen. You have to love the enthusiasm. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DsP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newsroom and welcome to the Galtopia News Network, your unreliable source for DsP News. This is the Snort Report, brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, today is, I hope, is going to be a great day. Well, it's definitely a great day right now. Every day above ground is a great day, obviously. But I hope today is going to be a very, very great day. A very good day, let's say. We'll say good, and as the day goes on, we'll see if we can make it great for all of you. And for everybody here at GTG Network and Productions, the Snort Report, SnortBucks, and whatnot, Hard Snorts, Gin and Tonic, the best, and a new venture that we have partaken on. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have been around for any period of time, you know that it is very much, or it has very much been Super Sloth Pants that has really given us the a face, if you will, to go along with the spurgery, which would be me, and those that kind of surround me in moving what this channel is for. And as time has gone on, we have tried very hard to stick to those principles, if you will, and also expanded. And expansion has come unexpected because you never really know what people are doing, you know what I'm saying, that you don't see and whatnot, and then they kind of appear and present you with all of this, and you kind of have to you figure out what to do with it, I guess. You figure out how to incorporate it in as best as possible. And what is about to be unveiled to you is something that was actually presented to us last year, but we weren't sure how we were going to incorporate it in yet, and we were still finagling some things around, and we were just trying to figure out how we wanted the show to be structured going into our 2020 year, our current year of gout. And then there were some minor setbacks, but those setbacks, interestingly enough, ends up making way for what ends up appearing later on. So, I guess at this point, okay, you guys should have already seen the commercial made by Sunspot Gallery for the SnortBucks coffee, the SnortBucks Coffee Company delivery service, or Delivery Express, if you will. An absolutely great addition, which only furthers and solidifies that SnortBucks is not insulated to just one individual, but it's something that belongs to all detractors and whatnot. And that's something that Chio 18 has said from the hop, that was something that she wanted to make sure was known to a lot of people. So whatever you do with the logo is whatever you do with it. You can find it on Twitter. I've reposted it here in the community section. I'll repost it on Twitter, and so on and so forth. It's just something that, you know, it's out there, and the creativity that comes from that has been amazing. You saw what James DeLesser has done with it, obviously what Chio has done with it. Now you're seeing what you saw what Paul did for season 2 of DarkSydePhailure. If you're not watching that, please watch it. First episode's already out. Check it out. I will leave the link to that in the description, by the way, so you guys can check it out, so I can make it a little bit easier for you. And you're seeing what Sunspot Gallery has done. So, you know, it's a thing. I will also leave the link to Sunspot Gallery's commercial down in the description as well. Please go over to his channel. Please check it out. Show the video some love and whatnot. He would appreciate that. I would certainly very much appreciate it. We all would. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going into a new venture, right? And so on and so forth. You know, SnortBucks will always still be in the rotation, right? But at the same time, we're promoting growth, right? Because that's a thing, right? Which is something that, for all the advantages that Phil Burnell was given, for whatever reason, he didn't take it. I have my theories, of course, but you know, every detractor, troll, hater, and critic has their theories. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Tim Snortons. Ooh, always salty coffee and baked goods. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is something, is a homage to our friends, family, and loved ones up north. You know what I mean? Winter is coming. Well, not anymore, but kind of sort of. But it was a nice homage to those who are our friends in Canada, and so on and so forth. And also, I think it gives us a level of flexibility and some versatility. You know what I mean? We're taking this nationwide, ladies and gentlemen. Nationwide. So this is kind of what the expansion is going to kind of look like. I haven't exactly written something concrete yet around all of this and whatnot, so give me some time and I'll work that out. SnortBucks kind of, like, I saw it. When I saw SnortBucks, I knew exactly what I was going to say for it. Tim Snorton, it's a little different. It's, you know, I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with the brand and then the items within the brand and so on and so forth. I like what I've sampled so far. I certainly like what I've seen. And with that being said, there'll be a commercial that will follow this that hopefully you guys like what you'll see too. So that's also a thing. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and actually unveil, if you will, the storefront, if you will, and some of the delicious items that it will be made available to all of you to place your orders for, because that's why you're here, kind of, hopefully. Ladies and gentlemen, the assortment of Tim Snortons, excuse me, is not too far off from what we wanted to provide you with SnortBucks coffee. It's also not too far off of what we wanted to provide with you from the Snort Report and DSP News in general, GTG Network and Productions as a whole in a lot of ways. We want to try to give you the most variety possible. Now granted, nobody can cover every single thing, and not everybody's going to like everything and whatnot. And there's no need to stretch yourself, you know, too thin. You know what I'm saying? No need to be fighting on two fronts. At the same time, that doesn't mean that you guys have to basically accept the same thing over and over again. That gets stale. That gets a little bit boring. So variety is a good thing, key, and it's key. Also, there's nothing wrong with just trying things differently. You know what I mean? It doesn't hurt, and that's why feedback is important. To be perfectly honest with you, it's a shame yet again that DarkSydePhailure never figured that out. But when you're, you know, a valedictorian and everybody's beneath you anyway, and you know everybody's sheep and pay pigs and so on and so forth, what do you care? You know what I'm saying? You know, if you've groomed one 17-year-old girl to be your girlfriend, allegedly, you've groomed them all, right? So it is what it is. In any case, that, ladies and gentlemen, is the menu and whatnot. Absolutely delicious, I'm sure, and whatnot. Give you guys a chance to go ahead, figure out what you guys want to do with that. What are you guys thinking? What are you not thinking? There's a commercial about to pop up. Should be amazing. And then we will get into the actual broadcast itself, because that's obviously very, very important. But with that being said, let's actually go over what we have in store for you. Let's see here. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with two videos that are going to start up our broadcast and whatnot, with two tasty segments in between. They'll be short and whatnot. I want to try to preface that now, so on and so forth and whatnot, because you know it's a thing. But we have two videos that are going to make up our broadcast leading into the new rollout. Both of them brought to us by Burnell, DSP. First video, it's almost 500K in debt. And I am not committing perjury. This is from February 3rd of 2020. Second and last video that will round out our broadcast. Also brought to us by Burnell, DsP I am successful despite going into bankruptcy. And lessons about irresponsible use of credit cards. This is from February 4th of 2020, our current year of gout. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I will not sit around too unceremoniously. Let's go ahead and let you guys check out the commercial and whatnot. Chio put a whole lot of time into it. She stayed as true as possible to the brand that she grabbed inspiration from. So hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as all of us here have enjoyed it. It's literally your first chance getting to see it, so that's a thing. Outside of like 6 or 7 people who saw it before you guys are seeing this exclusively. So thank you so very much to Chio18. Thank you so very much to Meerkat, to Super Sloth Pants, to anybody and everybody who's ever helped us get to where we're at. To be perfectly honest with you, I can't convey that enough. And even though I can't convey it enough, that doesn't mean I still shouldn't try. So that's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tim Snortons. This is the Snort Report, and this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. A GTG Network of Productions. You guys all know the slogan. I do not smell my Tim Snortons coffee being brewed yet. And I haven't actually picked like what I'm going to eat yet. But that's okay. We can choose together because we're all going to get to see it at once. And it's time, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to watch us work. Not too bad. It It was a little rocky at first, but I was able to pull it together. You know what I'm saying? I was able to pull it together.
Now we be feeling alright, so we be feeling alright.
At Tim Snortons, we have what you need to make it through your day. Need breakfast? You got it. Lunch or dinner? Made to order, just the way you want it.
Delicious.
Thirsty? Try our famous ice fap. A nice latte? Or a classic roast. And don't forget dessert, like our signature snort bits.
Oh, it was good.
Tim Snortons. We've got you covered.
Yo, we feeling alright, we doing alright, why? Yo, you see I'm getting it in. I said I'm getting it in. You see I'm getting it in. So we be getting it in. Cause that's what's up, we be getting it in. That's what's up, so we be getting it in. So we be getting it in.
Now let's play the game.
That's what's up, so I be getting it in. Yeah, I mean, that's what's up. Keyshawn, limitless, flow assist, songstress, yeah, we be getting it in, getting it in. Alright, Keyshawn, limitless, flow assist, songstress.
Everyone, warning, what you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting.
Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
I'm glad that Kat approved. Not that I needed her approval, of course, but I'm glad she actually approved. I'm glad she liked it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the first video that will make up our broadcast. Brought to you by, of course, Burnell, DsP. Define sniff. It's almost $500K or $500,000 in debt. And I am not committing perjury. This is from February 3rd of 2020, our current year of gout. Let's go. Hope you guys like the commercial too, by the way.
I'm a mature adult with a business degree.
Mature adult my ass. I told y'all he had a boatload of credit cards. I told y'all. I told you guys he had loans still. I told y'all. I never realistically thought that any financial institute, let alone a cabal, you know what I'm saying, a group of financial institutes, would give this idiot $130,000+ in unsecured credit card debt. I never thought they'd do that. I never thought anybody would be stupid enough to do so. You would think, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to get into some piggy lore for a minute, so I know some of you will appreciate this. This is the same idiot that when he was looking for houses in Seattle, right, he had to go to 3 different banks until one of them approved him to get a mortgage so he could buy the Wakando, as people like to, people on Twitter and on Kiwi Farms, as well as a couple other places like to call it, the Wakando, in Washington. 3 different institutes. That's kind of wild. But yet he's carrying around all this credit card debt, though. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, ladies and gentlemen, because the grand mythos, okay, of Piggy Camelot is that Phil was in debt when he started YouTube, but through YouTube, he was able to get himself completely and totally out of debt. Supposedly those student loans that he had, despite the fact that mommy and daddy actually paid those. All of the credit card debt from his failed expirations in the FGC, only basically coming out to a couple of first place wins in EVO qualifiers, but only 4th place at EVO of 2005. So in actuality, it was a failed campaign to say the very least. Game of hooves. And then that was it. So everything he did in his previous life, as he likes to call it, was an absolute failure. And he needed YouTube to pull him out. But then, all of a sudden, it pulls him out. He spends like crazy, throws that shit in front of all of his friends and loved ones and whatnot, trying to make himself seem like a success. And then he has all this trouble getting another mortgage to go over there to Wakanda. Now, to get the Wakanda. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Black Panther would be upset with that. Anyway. So he had all those problems. Now, most of you are going to say, and rightfully so, well, come on, GTG. He already had a condo that he hadn't fully paid for yet. So that might be an issue. And you're right. Actually, you're absolutely correct. But let's also look at it from another way. Let's add on to that. Let's build on this together, shall we? What if, ladies and gentlemen, that he never actually paid off any of those debts? What if he just paid them down, but never actually paid them off? And ladies and gentlemen, because Phil is an habitual consumer, any credit cards that he actually paid down, he was still using to fund his lifestyle. He's not someone who deals very much in cash, so it had to come from somewhere. And yes, he had a bank account, but it's obvious that he wasn't really using that. And keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Burnell does have a bank account outside of PayPal, outside of some of those other financial institutions that weren't listed on those documents. Just throwing that out there, though. So it's funny how he had supposedly paid off all that debt, but then he kept using those credit cards, which means he's just reoccurring more and more debt. So how much did he really pay off? I.e., did he really pay anything off at all, or did he just pay it all down while he was trying to acquire more and more debt? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to paint the picture poorly, of course, because that's what I do. But I'm trying to paint the picture that this man carried the lion's share of that debt from Connecticut to Washington. Hence the reason why those dates on there that signify, hey, when was the debts occurred? That's why they're not listed. Those are old debts. A lot of that is old debt. And if I had to guess, if it wasn't for the fact that his income was high for the amount of years that it was, he wouldn't have been able to get those lines of credit. And he knows that just as well as any of us do. That's the only real thing that makes me believe how he was even able to get any of those loans after 2013. No, 2014. I'm sorry. After 2014, from the move from Connecticut to Washington, because as you know, he ended up taking out a couple of business loans later on down the line, and which is funny because the loans are probably listed, but it doesn't necessarily say exactly how much those loans were. It says how much he owes, but it doesn't say how much they were. And keep in mind, that's an assumption. I don't actually have the document in front of me, so that's a thing. I guess I could pull it up on another monitor. Yeah, I could do that. So with that being said, that's also a thing in itself. I just want to try to get the noggin jogging for a little bit as we're moving on to this. Now, also, as you guys know, I'm behind because, that's what we do here. And I'm told that someone whose content I enjoy, especially because he was following, he's been the front runner, he's been the true voice, I think, in a lot of ways, of the whole Stand With Vic movement. Nick Rekieta is going over that whole situation with Null from Kiwi Farms, or Josh. And so that's going to be a thing, and that's going to be a thing I want to go over. So look out for that. That's going to be a long one. That's probably, let's see, Nick usually records for about three plus hours. So you think all my spurgery and all my backstory added on to that's going to put, that puts us at 5.5, 6 hours. Yikes. I might have to split that up. I mean, 2-3 hour broadcast wouldn't be too bad, I guess, if worst case scenario. If not, it's been a while since I've done a 6 hour. We'll figure that out. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But we're going over that, as well as some other things too. But like I said, I want to give you guys the initial snort report. Consider that the appetizer, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Consider that as true advertising leading into the larger courses to come later on. It's a thing, right? So on and so forth. A little bit of showmanship, if I was to consider myself a showman. DSP News.
I've been telling you guys over the last couple of years how bad things have been for me financially, how terrible everything's been. And no matter what I do to try to get caught up, to try to fix things, they just get worse and worse. They keep
because you're a failure. Yeah. Well, first off, you did the bare minimum and whatnot, which means really you didn't do anything. You were notified of these different situations, and what did his dumbass do? I did not mean to do that. Yikes. Okay, I can still fix that. What did his dumbass do? He decided to sit on that shit for months on end and then come and beg for people to give him help. You guys want an example? I can do that. Let's go back, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to walk with me for a minute. Okay, we're gonna step out of the storefront for just a second, right? And we're gonna take a walk because my coffee is just a tad bit too hot. And we're gonna just take a walk around the block, a walk and talk, if you will. And I want you guys to think back to 2017. I want you guys to think back when Phil told us that he had this issue, he had this problem, he had this financial, the beginning, if you will, of some of these financial issues, but he couldn't talk about it because he was trying to work it out behind the scenes and, you know, so on and so forth. Later on down the line, well, it was immediately said that it was taxes. It was. Phil lied to us, of course, because Phil's a liar. But they were taxes. But people call that from the hop, from Jump Street. Phil sat on that for 3 months until he came out and told us what was the problem, half-ass, of course, and that he needed financial help, and he needed it badly. He waited literally till his back was up against the wall, or, as you guys know here at GTG Network and Productions, he had his baby backs on the grill and was being basted to go ahead and ask for help. For 3 months, he sat on his ass. He may have spent a month scrambling, trying to convince these people, trying to con these people that he really didn't owe them this money because he wasn't an actual business. That's why we went from, I need you guys to help me with my business, to being like, I'm not a business. I'm not a business. To when he had no choice but to bite the bullet, oh, well, now he's a business again. But the point being is he waited like 3 months until he started asking for this money. He started begging for this money because he had to let things build up. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're boiling water. You just don't go ahead straight to boil. You should gradually raise the temperature of the water and whatnot. Most of you guys know. And so with that being said, it's because of the ways he conducts himself and, in air quotes, his business is the reason why he failed. He never had an initial plan. He didn't ask for help until it was at the very fucking end, until he was literally in the largest amount of trouble possible. Sorry about that. And then more importantly, he misappropriated the funds anyway. He screwed himself over, no matter what. No matter what anybody says, Phil Burnell still fucked Phil Burnell. With all the help and all those different people who came out, all the pay piggies, the whales, the King Tuts, even though that was, that was an inside op, but that was still funny nonetheless. But Phil said he won, so he still walked away with the money. Even after Emerald 7, even after Planet Jeff's deceased wife, I don't want to say dead wife, deceased wife's insurance money, he still figured out a way to fuck all that up. On top of the everyday begging he was already doing. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, he told you guys for quite a long time that he had financial problems, and yet he still figured out a way to fuck it up, despite the fact that he had all these different advantages. All these different people that were willing to put themselves out there for him. And somehow he still screwed it up. It's funny, ladies and gentlemen, that how he made all of that money in 2017, since we're still walking, we're coming back to the storefront. And it's funny how he still was able to obtain all that money in 2017, and then all of a sudden it disappeared, but then all of a sudden Catherine's here. Isn't that crazy? And then it's funny, not long after that, Jasper shows up. We didn't know that at the time, but Jasper is a thing. He just didn't tell us yet. And then all of a sudden, Mommy and Daddy get sick. He says he can't visit them. Then all of a sudden they say they'll flip the bill on their own funeral. And then he's okay with going. Then all of a sudden he come back, and then all of a sudden Jasper is ready to be unveiled for $2,100. And let's not get sidetracked a little bit because I'm good at that. Not to mention all of the special events and air quotes that we had along the way where he was able to pull, between 2,000 to like 3,000 plus per event. That's a thing too. Just something to think about in the larger scale, in the bigger picture of Phil's financial misgressions, or discretions, if you will, over the last couple of years. I just want you to think about that. Anybody else who had common sense would have been able to take this money that was drummed up, begged for, however you want to word it, and would have applied it to the actual problem. For whatever reason, Phil Burnell didn't actually do that. He considered that as extra. You know what I mean? Because he has his little baseline pay, then he has the money that he begs for, and then we have that crisis money. We have that DEFCON 5 money and whatnot that we need. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, total fucking meltdown type shit money. Everything's broken down into these begging layers, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like a gouty cake, if you will. Or kind of like that store-bought poke cake that, you know, Catherine bought for Phil. I mean, granted though too, now that we know where she works, it's very possible that they made the cake fresh at her store. So theoretically, and if she worked in the bakery department that day, for example, it's very possible that she may have actually made that cake. I'm just going ahead and throwing this out there. So with that being said, it doesn't make it an actual lie, if you think about it. On top of that, ladies and gentlemen, since we're on the process of food, and we're process of home cooked meals, right? And we're about to walk into the storefront. It's funny how Phil keeps talking about all these fresh meals that Catherine makes every once in a while, right? Tuna salad, all this beautiful shit like that. And it's kind of, you know, other little semi-Italian recipe type stuff, or the Southwest Italian stuff that she usually makes. And it's funny that in most stores, not just the store that she works at, but at most stores, you can go to the like refrigeration department, right, where they make those meals and whatnot for 2 or even for 4, and then they go ahead and they top it even in like usually like a clear top or whatnot, like a plastic top, if you will. It's usually in some type of form of aluminum foil, and they leave all that out on display. You can find anything from stuffed peppers and tomatoes to homemade meatballs, or even stuffed meatballs at times, chicken parmesan, ravioli, lasagna, you name it, you can find it. Homemade chicken salad, pasta salad, different types of seafood casserole, just to name a few, right? You can find all of that. You can find all that. Even Walmart does that stuff now. Even though Phil's above Walmart, but Phil also has a membership to Sam's, and I think Sam's is owned by Walmart. Semantics, though. But the point being is, it's funny how a lot of those home-cooked meals that Catherine supposedly whips up are some of the same meals that you could find at the store that she works at, respectfully. Not to try to take anything away from her, it's still theoretically a home-cooked meal that someone prepared in advance, but it is what it is. I'm just throwing that out there for clarification's sake. Since we're going to dive in, I'd like you guys to get an idea of what we're going into. DSP News.
Out of control. To the point where I can't really do much about it. You know, got to the point where it's completely uncontrollable. You know, every time it seemed like I was possibly in a position where I could maybe get ahead, something else bad would happen. That would screw things up for me over and over and over. All right?
And that means you were never actually in a position to get ahead. You were never in a position to get ahead. What he was banking on was a set of circumstances to fall into place to make things happen. Outside of, he was looking at a select sequence of events to fall into place, and in the hopes that it would fall into his favor. That's not planning ahead. What it is you hoping that shit will fall together. He didn't do anything to make sure that those dominoes were stacked right. You know what I mean? He had to depend on other people to get their shit straight, or to come up with the finances needed, or come up with the financial help, or whatever the case may be, so he can benefit later. That's what it came down to. Because if you look at throughout this whole financial crisis, going back to 2017, despite the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that financial crisis actually predates 2017, what it's all really come down to is, I'm willing to do this, but you guys need to give me more money. And then we add begging onto that, and then we do all these other things. Essentially what Phil has done is he has convinced a whole bunch of people that he actually worked harder than he really did. And because of that, we get into the fear-mongering at this point. He posted the threat, because he's done this twice on YouTube, that if you guys don't contribute to him, then it'll all go away. As if their lives would be poorer for that. You know what I mean? Like somehow their lives would lose just a little bit of meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like their lights would dim a little bit more if he wasn't part of their lives. That's what he convinced people of. And the amazing thing was people believed him. It's absolutely extraordinary, to be honest. And that's why we're at where we're at. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is Phil is someone who has codependency issues. He's always been that way, to be honest with you. If all the John memes that we make around here hasn't explained that enough. Because of that, he looks at it as, okay, if you've given me $50 on Monday, I expect you to show back up Wednesday to give me $50. If you show back up on Wednesday and give that $50, then he's gonna be like, okay, well, I expect you to come back Friday and give me another $50. The next week, you show up, he's expecting $50 from you every day. Because if you were able to give it to him 3 days last week, there's no reason why you can't give it to him 5 days this week. And it's a vicious cycle that continues to build upon itself. What is that? What do they call that when people who are in like a bank robbery situation or who have been kidnapped and they become sympathetic to their captors? Is that called Stockholm Syndrome? I think, right? That's what it's called, right? Okay, yeah, it's called Stockholm Syndrome, or at least well, if he's wrong, then theoretically I'm wrong, and then you guys will correct me on it. But it's called Stockholm Syndrome, and that's in a lot of ways what he has. What's the word I'm looking for? He has imposed onto his audience. You know what I mean? Like you're all victims, or they're all victims in some way, shape, or form. But you guys need him, and if you guys don't come through with this, you know, if he goes down, you guys go down. And that's a really crazy way of looking at anything, especially since he's supposed to be just a gameplay streamer. But also, he gives you enough of his personal life to get you invested. And he makes you guys, and I remember Medicare and Argent both said this at one time or another years ago. He gives you just enough information to have you invested in him. But then he takes that information, he takes that investment on your part and guilt trips you into believing that you're actually in the frying pan with him. And if you can't get him out, then you can't get out either. It's a wild way of looking at a situation, but in truth, and at least in some ways, it's accurate. And I think that's what makes him scary. Not really scary, because there's nothing intimidating about Phil. But some of the psychological bullshit he puts out there, I should say, it makes it scary. It makes it disturbing that there's someone out there who does this on a daily basis and thinks it's okay. And that's one of my major problems with him. But, let's continue. DSP News.
And the thing is, if you've actually followed along with me over the years, and if you're actually a frequent viewer and fan, and you watch the pre-streams and everything when I talk about this stuff, you would know exactly what's been going on, because I've told you guys about it every step of the way. But a lot of people either don't, or they just like to have selective hearing, right? Even though I've explained to you guys for years and years how bad things have been for me financially, some people just don't want to hear it. What they want to believe is
proof positive. And they're not wrong for not wanting to hear it, ladies and gentlemen. You're supposed to be a gameplay streamer. I shouldn't have to come here and listen to your bullshit. I shouldn't have to listen to your financial mistakes. Most of these people are just kids themselves. You know what I mean? So they don't need to hear what someone who's probably the age of their own parents on how they screwed up their lives and screwed up their future and is literally clawing and whatnot to hold on to it. They have no grasp of that. It's not even selective hearing. Most of them just don't understand it. You know what I mean? Let's take little Derek, for instance. Little Derek is probably not little anymore, but let's take Derek, for instance, right? I'm sure when Derek was sneaking his mother's credit card to give Phil money, he just wanted to help Phil. And he wanted to do it in the only way that he knew how. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm pretty confident about this, though I've never spoken to Derek, is Derek didn't even have a full understanding or grasp of what Phil was in, what kind of trouble Phil was in. And how could he? Derek was a kid. You know what I mean? Derek was a kid. I wouldn't have expected him to understand what it's like to have some Nimrod online who's in so much debt that his ass will never be able to get out. And yes, he fed you guys a great story about how successful he is and how everybody's jealous of him, and that's why he's in the financial deficit that he's in. But in reality, that's not reality. That's Phil's reality. That's what Phil's glass box is. You know what I'm saying? That he put himself in. That's why he had to get Tevin and They Call Me Tex and Bill Burnell off of Twitch, because he didn't need a haven, if you want to say that. He didn't need a haven for detractors to be able to leap from one channel to another to debunk his shit and then go back to somewhere else before he can do anything about it. That was the problem. He didn't want the detractors to have a launch pad into screwing him up on Twitch. But the thing is when he got all those guys deplatformed, he only made it worse. He actually has it worse now than he had back then. And yet again, all by his own doing. So if this idiot on a social level, on a social platform would fuck things up the way he did, you're telling me that there's any hope for him financially? And it's funny how, amongst loyal cows especially, they all at one time or another have a real issue when it comes to money. It's quite the coincidence though, isn't it? Well, semantics. Let's continue.
Is the absolute stupidest worst case scenario thing, such as, oh, Phil's been hoarding money in an offshore account, or Phil's been lying about his finances completely behind the scenes. You know, all that stuff going on. You know, the people just want to say, oh, you know, Phil's a liar. In reality, I wasn't lying at all. In reality, it was all truthful. And it was just getting exponentially worse and worse every year.
Except for when he had the lie to protect his family, of course. Let's not forget that.
I said, every time I had a chance to maybe financially get ahead, things would blow up in my face for another stupid reason. Oh my god, you weren't filing your taxes properly for several years because your tax attorney from Connecticut was an asshole. You know, now you can't pay your federal taxes for this year, so you got to find a way to make ends meet and do it. You know, and it just got worse and worse and worse. Okay, without going.
But he was at a huge financial deficit before he even found out that he owed all that back taxes because Panda had left him, and Panda only got a job because his income was falling more and more into the shitter. So when Panda left, he needed another source of income quick, and that's where Catherine comes into play. But then we find out about the state and occupation tax that he hadn't paid for 3 years, which he knew about because he made sure Panda paid hers, but he never paid his. Just saying. I'm just trying to throw that out there.
Into massive detail, this all started when I moved across the country in 2014. Before then, I did not really have much significant debt at all. But when I moved across the country from Connecticut...
But you did have debt. Now, you really think this idiot's going to sit there and tell you guys how much debt that he had? No. But I would say this. I argue this, I should say. Phil has about $135,000, a little more, a little less, in unsecured credit card debt. Oh, I'd say... before Phil moved, he had half of that when he was in Connecticut. I'll even be generous and say he had a quarter of that. And I'm not even talking about the condo. I'm just talking about credit card debt in general. I'd say he had anywhere from a quarter of the money he owes now to at least half. He had at least a quarter to a half of that before he moved. We'll find out if the court gives him a chance to revise his documents. Because if he has to put dates up there, which he probably doesn't even know, he doesn't have precise dates. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he didn't put it up there. But I'll tell you this right now. If some of those credit cards predate 2015, you can bet your goddamn bottom dollar that I was right. And trust me, I'll definitely make a video about it. So keep that in mind. And if he occurred all that, or if he racked all that up, I should say. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I can't talk. If he racked all of that up after 2015, and he did all of that in Washington, that just goes to show that he was even more financially irresponsible than we think of him right now. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I am, like 5 or 6 days behind the 8 ball already. Imagine that. DSP News.
To Washington, I accrued a ridiculous amount of debt. Between, the down payment on this home that I live in, the moving cost, the cost to furnish the house, the cost to upgrade my business, amongst many other things.
And what did he do to upgrade his business? You mean the $200 set green screen setup down in the garage that's doing nothing more than gathering dust and shit? Well, that doesn't mean anything. You're talking about the new microphone costing about $120, maybe $140. You're talking about the soundproofing. That's pretty much it. And that was all Patreon money, ladies and gentlemen. That didn't come out of pocket. That was Patreon money. And ladies and gentlemen, it's my understanding that James Alesser is working on a video, or at this point it's already out, that that calls out that Phil actually, how much was it that actually did Phil is saying that it cost him like $10,000 to move across country, which is a blatant lie. It's really closer to like 4,000, if I remember correctly. Like, looking at an old fucking DSP video, it's like closer to 4,000. But the way I've been told, James Alesser is working on something along those lines. So at the time that I'm recording this, it's probably already been out. But it was like closer to $4,000 and whatnot. And if I had to guess, he paid that by credit card. Actually, I'm pretty sure in the video in question, he paid it. He said he was going to pay it by credit card. So that debunks the whole 10,000 part right there. But watch me work. The reason why he says the number is $10,000, ladies and gentlemen, is because he wants to go ahead and rack up everything else that incurred. Not just the fact that, you know, the cost of moving everything across country, but the new refrigerator, because he did buy that new. All of the furniture, all the TVs, basically all of the furnishing for the house. They had to buy a refrigerator. I don't know if they had to buy a washer and dryer, or maybe that one was still left there. I can't remember on that one. But then all of the furniture and all the bullshit that went, and all the electronics and everything, that might come up to about $10,000. You know what I'm saying? And then putting food into the house initially and getting everything filled up and everything, I would say that cost about $10,000. And then, if you remember, he was still leasing a BMW. So he probably rolled some of that in there too, which is even more ironic because doesn't Phil owe BMW like $2,400? Some crazy shit like that? That's weird. But then again, I think that's a BMW credit card. So that's a thing in itself as well. So you see how when you start looking at the onion and you keep peeling the layers back, you just find more and more of nonsense. And this is how it all works. And that's why his financial documents, his bankruptcy documents are such bullshit. It stinks to high hell because there's so many problems. So take that for what you will.
You know, many things just kept accumulating, and I very incorrectly assumed that I would be able to afford all of it because I thought that my income that I had at that point, which was primarily based on YouTube ad revenue, was kind of going to be there forever, and it wasn't.
What would make you think it was going to be there forever when it was in a decline before you moved? He had at least 2 pay cuts, ladies and gentlemen, before he even moved to Washington State. And then he got another one while he was out there. And he eventually got himself kicked off from Machinima. So what made him think anything was going to last forever? That's what happens when you're an unrealistic motherfucker. Just saying.
Obviously, it went way down over the years because of, you know, things that happened. And then the problem was, number one, because of trolling and everything, you know, my YouTube channel basically was kind of destroyed. You know, Dspgaming at one point was very lucrative, made a lot of views and everything, and then it just kind of went away. By the way, I'm still having unfrozen on my laptop. I might have to try to do like a hard restart here. This is one of the, page unresponsive. It just popped up.
Another interesting thing too. So this laptop he likes to keep bitching about. And if you think about it, his current desktop, which are both relics kind of at this point. Not really. You could raid them for parts and you could switch shit out. He could upgrade both of them respectfully and he could make do. But the desktop he ended up paying, he paid like $3,000 for that, which is basically a lemon from CyberPower. I mean, for his sake, I'm sure CyberPower has gotten better over the years, but that's a whole nother thing to laugh about in itself at a later time and date. But the laptop. Let's talk about the lore on this laptop. Okay, because Tevin actually knows all of it, and he's talked about it on a couple different occasions. The laptop that Phil's talking about now, right, the one that he basically conducts off his business off of, was a laptop that he bought second-handed and was already old when he bought it. When he bought it used. And then he's had it for the last, 4 or 5 years. But it's funny, because didn't I say earlier on that when he's calculating that $10,000 move that supposedly put him in so much debt, that he racked up all of the, he's racking up not only the moving costs, but to furnish the house and everything else into that 10 grand. He's not telling you that, but that's probably what he's doing. If I had to guess, that is what he's doing. Well, it's funny how we could buy all these TVs and we can buy all these other electronics and all this other nice shit, right? But we couldn't we couldn't put in 2 more laptops for that. We couldn't fit 2 laptops into that situation. But it's ironic though, because when her first desktop died, they went out like the next day or the day after and just bought her a brand new one. Didn't even bother to actually maybe take it to a computer repair store and try to find out what was going on with it. Or going to one of Phil's favorite haunts, Best Buy, and have Geek Squad look at it. He just was like, oh, well, we'll just go ahead and buy her another desktop. And that's what they did. That's what they did. So as all of this was happening, he never thought about shelling $500 or $600 for a good laptop. Keep that in mind. DSP News.
Can't even click on it. I can't even click on it to make it work. It's so bad. Exit pages. Oh my god. Anyway, as I'm trying to do this, I'll continue to talk. So basically things just got worse and worse, and like I said, in 2015, my income dipped dramatically. For about a year and a half, my income went way down, and when that happened, I had to find a way to make things stay afloat. So basically, I had to rack up an insane amount of unsecured debt, which I didn't want to do, whether it was credit cards, whether it was personal loans, to make stuff keep going.
But that's funny, ladies and gentlemen, because didn't Phil say that he was a success? And doesn't Phil say that when we laugh at him, that we're only doing it because we're jealous and we're envious of what he has, despite the fact that he's in more debt now than any of you will ever be in your life? Some of you, your children's children won't have as much debt as this idiot. But yet we're jealous of him. We're envious of him in his position. Which he doesn't have a position. Well, he does. Face down, ass up to the banks. That's the position he's holding. That's the position he's been holding. That might explain why he didn't have no energy to give it to Panda. That's probably explains why Leanna wasn't getting dick down properly. Because he was already too busy taking it. But yet we're supposed to be jealous of that. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. You know what I mean? He's been a sucker. He's been a sucker. But yet all of us are the jealous ones. We're all the brain dead idiots. We're all the unintelligent fucks. Yet he's the one who's in so much debt. And then it looks like he's trying to fuck over those banks. And obviously those banks are going to contest it. Most of them will. That he could literally lose everything. He literally could lose everything. And then where is he going to be in another year or so? Back with mommy and daddy. And then what's he going to say to us in 2022? I was successful, but it's all these brain dead idiots who made videos on me. That's why I lost everything. I lost my wife. I lost my son. He lost his cat Jasper. I lost my business. I lost everything because of these guys. And to be perfectly honest with you, outside of Spurs like myself, nobody really gives a fuck about that now. Who's going to give a shit about that in 2 years? Except for people that are going to be laughing at him over it. Because he assumed this. He thought that. He was hoping things were going to work like this. That doesn't sound like something that an adult does. Just an assumption, though. When I get up there at his age, I'll let you guys know if I'm around. DSP News.
You know, and somehow I did. Don't ask me how. I did manage at that point when I was making way less money. I was able to keep things afloat. But it wasn't very good the way that I did it, you know. And I would say probably around 2017 was the year when it looked like I might turn things around because I was finally earning enough. Remember, in 2017, I stopped relying just on YouTube.
Stop. That's a lie, too. He didn't just wake up one day and be like, you know what, I need to diversify my business. And I'm going to go back to Twitch after talking shit about Twitch for like 2.5 years. That wasn't the story. That's not the reality. Let me tell you that. Watch me work. What happened was, ladies and gentlemen, is Adpocalypse happened. Okay? You want to blame that on PewDiePie? Blame it on whoever the fuck you want to blame it on. But that's what happened. Phil, being Phil, ran to Mommy Machinima, got right up under the tit, and literally tried to suckle as much as he could, and came to realize that it was suckling. It wasn't suckling as easy as it used to. And then he started to bitch and complain about it. In doing so, Mommy Machinima was like, calm down. We're trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. Just calm down. Relax, as Phil likes to say. Instead of Phil heeding that advice and moving on to and looking at what his other options are, he didn't want to give up YouTube. He didn't want to give up the easy money. He didn't want to give up the idea that he could only work, 4 hours a day, get drunk, barely be able to get it up for Panda, and watch all the wrestling he wants and send John and Howard, mainly John, a bunch of drunken text messages. He didn't want to give that up because he was comfortable with it. He was used to it. He was complacent with it. So he kept pushing the envelope over there on Machinima. He went from being irrelevant to a nuisance, to being an itch, and then he got scratched. And you got to give him some credit on how he did this. He damn near almost made it till either the president or the CEO of Machinima. He almost got there. He literally was able to get himself in a position where he almost got someone big on the phone. Someone that he literally had no business talking to. But he almost got them on the phone. Almost. Or he almost got in contact with them. But then someone shut that shit down. And they were like, hey. And this is after multiple times of him being told, hey, you need to stop. You need to relax. We're working on it with what little information we have. Calm the fuck down. Phil didn't want that. That wasn't good enough. You're disrespecting me. You don't know who the fuck I am? I'm Phil. Oh, God, I know. I need to stop trying to emulate that because it hurts. It really fucking hurts. I don't know how he does that. I'm Phil Hard Snorts Burnell. I've been doing this shit for like 6 years or whatever the fuck he's been doing and whatnot. You guys came to me. I didn't go to you, despite the fact that's a lie. He actually had to go to Hutch and suck his dick to get on Machinima in the first place. But whatever. You guys don't know who the fuck I am. So when I have problems, you need to go ahead and prioritize me, despite the fact that he's not even the biggest person on Machinima at that time. And he was like, okay, well, if you guys are going to treat me like garbage, and you guys should know who the fuck I am, you guys should be recognizing what the fuck I do. If you guys are going to treat me like this, I don't want to be with you guys anymore. So they were like, okay, bye. And then what did Phil do, ladies and gentlemen, after he got kicked off Machinima? And then all these detractors, trolls, haters, and critics were surmising that, something really bad happened and Phil didn't want to talk about it. He shows up in some dirty-ass white shirt on his stream, looking like he's been crying for the last couple days because he was doing that. And he asked people, hey guys, I'm in a really bad spot right now, and I'm going to be off of Machinima in like 3 days. I need you guys' help. Now, granted, Machinima had to have given him anywhere from 30 to 90 days notice before his videos were going to basically go off into the ether. I'm assuming at the very least 30 days. So this idiot sat on his ass for 20-something days trying to suck Machinima's dick to get back on over there. And when they said, hey, you're the one that said that if you didn't like the way you were being treated, you didn't want to be with us anymore, fuck off. After that, then he had to go to the pig cult and ask them for help. 3 days until his shit went basically public. And it wasn't going to be protected by anything. You guys see the kind of mythos that I was talking about early on? About him waiting till the last minute and then asking for help? It's just like that. It's just like that. And because of that is the reason why he's in the situation that he's in now. And that was 2017. That was 2017. So you're telling me, ladies and gentlemen, that in more or less 2 years, he still couldn't figure out what the fuck he was going to do? He couldn't really come up with an actual plan and try to commit to it? He couldn't figure out other ways of gaining revenue without basically begging for it? He couldn't put any effort to try to save himself? He had to be Captain Save-A-Ho? Well, he had to be just Save-A-Ho and hope that someone would come off and save him? He deserved what he got. He deserved every inch of it, since he didn't mind taking it anyway. So he deserved everything that he got. Every last bit of it. Which makes his downfall just that much sweeter. That much sweeter. Because in actuality, and I still firmly hold to this, I don't think any detractor has ever wished for this. But everybody certainly predicted it. They all predicted it in their own ways during different situations throughout Phil's legacy online. But no one, I don't think any detractor actually prayed for it. Now, if you're a troll, a hater, or a critic, that's a little different. But excuse me, that's a little different. But I don't think anybody sat there and prayed to whatever it is that you pray to for Phil Burnell to lose everything. But we all certainly saw it. The sad thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is Phil saw it too. But he hoped that someone would save his ass. He hoped that things were going to work out. And it seems like, ladies and gentlemen, all of those prayers didn't mean shit. So when people say, like Medicare, with all due respect, that he has, you know, this incredible survivability, he does. He hasn't hung himself yet. Give him time on that. But he hasn't hung himself yet, so sure. But everybody's luck eventually runs out. And even Medicare knows that. You know what I'm saying? There's more sarcasm in Medicare's commentary on Phil than most people give credit for. At least I think so. Everybody hits that wall, and some people just hit it harder than others. And if Phil thinks he's going to throw Catherine and Jasper in the way, and so they can soften the blow, he's wrong, which will make it even more amusing. But don't think he wouldn't sacrifice them to save his own ass and to save the Wakando, which is actually like it's a single family home basically out there in Washington. Don't think he wouldn't. DSP News.
Instead, I became a full-time streamer. And quite frankly, when I became a full-time streamer, my income went up again, which was great. But that's when, just when it looked like there was like a silver lining and things were going to get better, that's when all of a sudden, boom, I found out, oh, guess what, Phil? You didn't do your taxes correctly for 3 years, and now you're behind on that. And that cost me a ridiculous amount of money to fix.
I did nothing wrong. I did everything correct.
And by the time that I fixed it, I was so much in the hole, there was just no way to come back out of it, you know? That's just the truth of the matter. Because it's funny, you know, people come here, and as you know, you guys, I have stalkers. I have people who literally microanalyze, I should say, everything that I say and do.
No, you could say to a degree that people try to micromanage and whatnot, and they tried to give you solutions, and you didn't want to listen to them. You wrote them off as idiots. You were like, oh, well, I'm the one who's run a successful business for X amount of years and whatnot. Why the fuck should I have to listen to you? Despite the fact that you were actually failing. Your business wasn't successful. It wasn't thriving. It wasn't prospering. You were barely keeping things afloat. Matter of fact, you were already failing the moment that you needed large cash infusions from a financial institute. And then when you couldn't get those no more, then you had to beg to the pay piggies. You had to go ahead and try to fish for whales. That's what happened. And that's what makes you a failure. If you had listened to the advice that was given to you years ago, you may have not have been in the situation you were in. But see, you thought you were better than that. You thought that the people who watch you are fans of yours, which i.e. must make them peons, so they can't tell you nothing about nothing. And because of that, yet again, is the reason why you're at where you're at. Where you deserve to be, by the way. And don't think that myself, let alone anybody else, has any type of inklings that is different from that. You deserve to be where you're at. So deal with it. And you're going to have to live with it. DSP News?
The income that I make. And they look at the amount of money that I could bring in on streams, you know, with different kinds of contributions. And they say, how could Phil possibly, you know, have money problems with the amount of money that he brings in on his streams?
Because you're a fucking idiot? To be honest, that's why you have financial problems. If you have to beg, it's assumed that you have a ridiculous amount of financial issues. But on top of that, it also kind of shows how financially irresponsible you are. The reason why that is because you have gone down to you've chosen to take the coward's way out. If you think about it, you know what I'm saying? What Phil is different if Phil had a Patreon and he was using that as supplemental income. That's one thing. Okay, it's different opening up a Amazon wish list and having people get stuff for you for the business for that. But to just sit there and actually beg for for money for overdrafts, for groceries, so you can take your wife out to get burgers on her birthday, despite the fact that any other day you guys would go out for expensive bowls of ramen or any type of Korean barbecue and so on and so forth. But on any other day, he could do that. But on her birthday, they just went out and got some Sonic's burgers. I'm surprised no one's caught that. I'm sure someone probably has. I just haven't seen it, but I'm surprised that's not being circulated more. It's when you have irresponsible actions like that, it tells us that you're in a much worse situation than you're really in. But yet again, you wanted to sit there and play echo chamber and didn't want to hear none of that. You chose that. Just throwing it out there.
Right? All right, and the answer to that is because I'm so much in the hole. You know, because I'm so much in the hole, it doesn't even matter, you know, at this point, how much I'm making, unless basically a miracle happened in 1 year, I like doubled or tripled my income, which is never going to happen. There's no way that I was ever going to get caught up.
Now, this is supposed to be Mr. Underdog, by the way. Now, keep in mind, his definition of underdog is completely fucking totally out of whack. But this is supposed to be Mr. Underdog here, right? Mr. Against all odds. But it's funny how when you tell him, hey, Phil, you should try this, or Phil, maybe you should consider doing this, the first thing that comes out of his mouth is, I can't. And now, I don't give a shit, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that he can give you some bullshit reason behind that. That means nothing. The fact that the first words that come out of his mouth is, I can't, or I don't want to, should go ahead and tell the story. That in itself. But this is supposed to be the ultimate underdog. This is supposed to be against all odds. This is supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? I'm the lucky one. I'm the one in the million. I'm the exception to the rules. Yet he's not willing to do not a goddamn thing to save his own neck.
Amount of debt that I had put myself into, you know, with all of these things getting exponentially worse. Because that's the problem. See, here's the thing. There's different kinds of debt. There's secured debt that's on a fixed interest rate. Mortgages. That's usually fine. Alright? But when you get yourself into unsecured debt, which is exponential interest on interest calculating, you're pretty screwed. And I knew that, but I had to do what I had to do to keep stuff going for years and years and years. You know, I certainly didn't like doing it. And now you guys can understand why I over the years, some nights I would say, man, I just can't sleep. I'm so nervous about the future. I don't know what's going to happen.
But yet, that didn't prevent us from going on staycations. That didn't prevent us from flying women out 2 or 3 times before actually finally moving them in, right? That didn't prevent us from going out there and spending money spending money like there was no tomorrow more often than not on their days off together. That didn't stop any of those things, ladies and gentlemen. Yet again, only solidifying what I'm saying is that he did all this to maintain a lifestyle that at the end of the day doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It was an illusion. It was, if most of that anyway, towards the end, was just a lure to get Catherine there, then goddamn, she ain't fell for some of the greatest bait in the world. Someone should have made a meme saying it's a trap, because that's really what the fuck it was. And at the end of the day, that don't mean shit. So if the relationship, and we're going to kind of dive into that now, if their relationship was based on what the lifestyle is, watch how quickly that relationship crashes and burns, or at least crumbles. And that relationship from the beginning looked shaky. It was all smiles and shit, or at least smiles on her part, in the pictures. But then when we actually got her on live video, on stream, the smiles weren't exactly there anymore. He was smiling a lot, but she wasn't, which is kind of weird. Why is it that she's smiling in the pictures and he's not, but then when they get on live stream, he's smiling and she's not? Or she certainly looked hella uncomfortable. Wild shit though, right? Right? Something like that would be warranted for a second look, maybe, right? Maybe on a channel where we have Fight Club shit.
Happen, you know, that's the deal. You know, it was just a snowball effect of 6 years, you know? 6 years of shit. You know, racking up way too much debt when I moved across the country, losing a large amount of income for about 1.5 to 2 years because of troll activities, and that's the truth of the matter, is that's why I lost so much income, because my YouTube channel, Dspgaming, was destroyed by trolls and false copyright claims.
No, it wasn't. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happened. Did he get hit with false copyright strikes? Sure. Did he have to react the way he did? No. He should have let Machinima know, which is what he did, and then let them do their damn job and let them clear it all up, which they would have. They would have. But instead, Phil decided to go ahead and go on a panic, basically had a panic attack, no pun intended, had himself a moment and started deleting 300 to 400 fucking videos. That's what happened. And that's what fucked him. That wasn't Machinima, that wasn't YouTube. That was him, that was Phil screwing Phil. Which, if you've seen that infamous stream, you know that's, I don't even know if you could say he's good at that, but whatever. That's what happened. And the fact that we have to keep blaming the trolls and haters for the shit is silly. Did they initiate the situation? Sure. No one can deny that. But he didn't have to respond to it the way he did. He's under a managed partnership with one of the biggest MCNs around. Notify them of what the situation is and let them do their damn job. Instead, he acted like a bitch. And when you act like a bitch, you get treated like a bitch. And that's what happened. He fucked himself. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, in the long term, big picture, because that's what we do here, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It wouldn't have mattered anyway. He'd still been in the decline. It may have just taken a couple of years longer. At this time, if we go on that current trajectory that I'm talking about currently, right? Excuse me. And whatnot, and we look at if the false copyright strikes didn't happen. Let's see, Phil can barely pull 1 million views a month now. Let's say the false copyright strikes didn't happen. He would probably be fledgling around, excuse me, he'd be fledgling around, let's say he lost somewhere between, well, I don't know, because the number keeps changing. All right, let's say he lost between 3 and 6 million views. Okay, let's say that didn't happen now. Given his decline, he may be, and this is me being generous, which is something I'm usually not, at least not when it's towards him. Let's say he's somewhere in the ballpark of about 3 million views a month. Let's say 3 million views a month. Let's say between 2.5 million views a month and declining. He still would have lost in a couple years. He still would have lost. And then what? We wait for mommy and daddy to die so he can go ahead and sell off all their wear and tears after his cousin gets her cut, of course, and then go ahead and make shit happen? And even then it wouldn't have been enough because the interest rates on his credit cards would have literally swallowed him whole. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, he's evading the inevitable. Eventually it was gonna come down to this. This is what was in the cards for Phil Burnell. There's no escaping it. It's just what was going to happen. Period. Whether, like I said, sooner than later, it was going to happen.
Okay. By the time that I had finally found a way to recover from that and get back to maybe where I was making the same amount of money that I had been making, it didn't matter anymore. Because I had too much debt in my name, mostly unsecured debt, that was the problem. And then the tax issue happened, which cost me even more money on top of the money I was already trying to pay off. And at that point, it was just uncontrollable. There was just no way to catch up with any of it. Okay?
And then in reality, I want you to think about this for a minute. In reality, given how bad things were, and given how his spending was still going, how his spending kind of ramped up, the more his income dropped. He would be probably in even worse debt if the false copyright strikes never happened. He would have probably been in worse debt. Instead of the, 5K we're looking at, it could have been 800,000. It could have been 800K. You see what I'm saying? Like if one was willing to do so. If you kind of look at it like that, he was only going to make it worse for himself over time. Because he would have given himself this delusion that, oh, eventually I'll get myself out. Eventually I'll get myself out. Eventually these people will get me out of it. So I'm just going to keep spending. He would have just fucked himself over even worse. Just my opinion, of course. DsP News.
Didn't matter. It literally didn't really matter how much I made. It would never catch up. Okay? So anyway.
It's not my fault. It's YouTube's fault.
These last couple of years, as I've been telling you guys, I've been really living day to day. Last year in particular, 2019 was the worst year of my life financially. There were many months where I was overdrawn on my bank account multiple times. There were bills that were going late and unpaid for extended amounts of time. Because even with the money I make, okay, even with all the money that I make on streams, it wasn't enough to cover my, exorbitant amount of debt. So basically by the middle to end of last year, I decided I had to take drastic action and figure out what the hell am I going to do, because I'm not paying one of my mortgages, which I can't afford anymore. I know they're going to foreclose and try to come after me for money that I don't have, and the unsecured debts aren't getting any better. What do I do? Okay? And so, as you know, I filed for bankruptcy, which I told you guys 2 weeks ago. It's hilarious because over the past couple of weeks, people have been, making fun of me for it. Phil is bankrupt or whatever. It's like, yeah, I told you that publicly.
Well, first off, as it pertains to the foreclosure, we already knew all that. You know what I'm saying? Agent Proper and other members of the DIA had already exposed all that. So with that being said, bankruptcy was going to be the next logical step, so to speak. But the fact that you were willing to deflect on all of that shit is what kind of screwed you over more than anything else. You basically told us, you didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Just keeping it honest. It doesn't solidify it anymore because you said it. You're a liar. And you'll do anything to protect yourself and your family, right? Right? Right. So that doesn't give your word any more strength. If anything, it weakens it even more. Yikes.
2 weeks ago, because I knew that all this was going to be public knowledge anyway. I didn't want to hide anything from any of you guys. I knew that everything would go public because it's a public filing. So why people think that it's like some controversial thing.
Which is even more ironic because Josh from Kiwi Farms even pointed that out on one of his previous live streams at Mad at the Internet, where he said that Phil didn't actually know that stuff was going to be public information. He thought it was going to be all private. You know, like that same pathetic excuse he made when he went off the handle and called other State of Decay and other influencers of other games. When he called them shills and said they weren't real gamers. And when he said, oh, when he made that tweet, he thought it would only go to it would only be seen by his followers or people who follow him on Twitter, I should say, and not, you know, the internet at large. It's like that stupid ass excuse. It's like that. It's that kind of really just pathetic type of thought process. Like when you file for something like that, of course that shit's gonna be public. And of course, all of your other creditors are gonna fucking get wind of that shit. But he really thought this was gonna be something sneaky he's gonna do behind the scenes and shit. Like when Tevin told us about the whole tip leaderboard that's on what's that called? Streamlabs. It was like he thought it was gonna be like that. Oh, if I make it go away, then it never existed. He thought it was gonna be like that. A grown-ass man trying to hide shit that he's going to have to reveal anyway. But see, the thing is, though, is that if there isn't any second or third parties, then he can control the narrative. The truth hurts Phil more than anything else. And so it's funny that we're all liars and this, that, and the third, or we take things out of context, but yet, why is it that he needs to control the narrative? So why does he need to go to such lengths to control the narrative if it's all supposed to be true anyway? Whether it comes out of his mouth or someone else's. If the truth's the truth, right? No matter what, kind of, sort of, maybe that's selective. Maybe that depends on the circumstance. I don't know.
Or some shocking thing. I have no idea because I told you 2 weeks ago. Like, did you think I was lying? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Now, obviously, right? Obviously, you guys, I've been hearing drama and shit over the past day. I'm not here to sit here and address tons of it or whatever. I'm not. This is a gameplay stream, right? So, very matter-of-factly, what I'm going to do is say as much as I can up front and then leave it at that, alright? The truth of the matter is I feel like shit anyway, and I'm not going to make the whole stream about stupidity, which is what these people do, alright? So, you know, I have a bankruptcy attorney who I've been working with for months now, months and months. The bankruptcy attorney is well aware of my situation, well aware of my assets, well aware of everything, and worked with me hand in hand to do this bankruptcy petition filing. Now, it's very possible that maybe the filing is not perfect. I don't know. All I know is, you know, this attorney asked me tons of questions. I answered all of the questions in detail, you know, and based on the answers to the questions, this is the filing that was come up with, and it was...
Okay. She gave him a form to fill out. Or she gave him some blank pages to fill out. And was like, hey, fill this out probably to the best of your ability. That's what happened. Because you're already seeing this whole narrative early on, saying that, oh, I told her all the information as best I could, and she was the one who did the filling it out. I just gave her the information. You know what I'm saying? I gave her as much information as I could. Despite the fact that, as it pertains to the concept of perjury, because he's lied on that document multiple times. Like, even more so than when the documents came out. There's so many discrepancies to that shit is fucking amazing. The fact that he could be fined $250K, I think, per segment that is messed up, or 20 years in prison, or both. Now, granted, putting him in prison is probably not going to be the most beneficial, because at the end of the day, the banks want their money. You being in prison isn't going to do that, making, I don't know, last time I watched a prison documentary, like, maybe, I don't know, I guess it depends on where you're working, I guess. I guess, like, in the kitchen, they make really good money, or they make decent money, I guess, whatever. Like, minimum wage. A little less than minimum wage, I guess. But anything else, you're making literally pennies on the dollar. So him going to prison is useless, and that we all know what's going to happen to him if he went to prison. Let's be honest. So that's not gonna be useful. So the best way is to continue to keep him on the outside and continue to have him making money. Throwing more fines onto that doesn't necessarily work. It could work if the court really feels like, hey, he's putting his hooves up with the universal fuck you sign, like he don't give a shit, like he's disrespecting the court. I could see them definitely wanting to slap his ass then. But it's debatable. But even still, he shouldn't have. He was better off trying to be honest about it. He was better off doing so. But there's a reason why, though, there's stuff missing. He's trying to game the system. That's obvious. But also, this is kind of like, and this is just my opinion. I don't know if anybody shares this thought. It doesn't matter if they do or not, but this is just my thought. This is like him saying fuck you to the detractors. And he's doing it on one of the biggest gambles of his life, where he's kind of like, nah, you're not going to get everything and whatnot. And if this court slides this through, you'll never know. So I'll always have this over your head. Nah. I think he's trying to do that. I don't think that's the end all be all, but I think that's part of the motivation with this shit. And that's insane. That's insane that you're so pathetic. And you would risk just to try to control the narrative that badly, you would risk prison or fines or just losing every goddamn thing you have, just so you can have some type of one up on some internet people that you don't even know. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of ridiculous. That's the lengths he would be willing to go, if that is the case, to do so. But I guarantee you there's something in his subconscious that's saying, oh, well, if you put it all out there, then the detractors will backtrack it, and then you're going to be even more screwed. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just leave that blank. Matter of fact, leave all that blank and fudge that. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? You'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because then, if nothing else, you can just blame it on the lawyer. You can blame it on the lawyer that you paid. She can take the hit. Or he can take the hit. Whoever. You know what I mean? That's how Phil's mind works. That's how Phil's mind works. And then at the end of the day, he'll just plead ignorance and be like, oh, I made a mistake. My bad. I'm under a lot of stress, dude. I got to press these buttons. You know, my bad back. My nasal drip. Or whatever. So that's what the reality is. But the fact that he's keeping such close tabs on the detractors, trolls, haters, and critics, I think speaks for itself too. DSP News.
Filed this week, and it became public record. You know what's in this filing. Okay. So that's the truth. You know, that's what it is. So what's hilarious is you get a bunch of dumb shit kids on the internet who think they know anything about the law. They don't. None of them are lawyers, and they look at this filing and they look at things and they microanalyze it. And they say, we found all these discrepancies.
One should never assume the capabilities, the intellect, the resourcefulness, or the will of an enemy. Period.
Right? From what we know publicly, from what Phil shares on his streams, we found all these discrepancies between the filing and what we know. And therefore, this is a huge disaster, and Phil has willingly perjured himself, and this is awful, and blah, 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 which is not the case at all. This is utter stupidity, of course. Is not the case.
Really?
Truth of the matter is that the filing is just the, from what I'm to understand, the initial step in a process that happens. So the filing goes, and, you know, goes to a court. The court reviews the filing, audits it, comes up with questions, comes back, and then we have to answer the questions. And if there's anything that needs to be amended in the filing needs to be amended, and it goes back and forth for a bit. You know, this is not, oh, you filed once, it's done, it's over. That's not the case at all. But that's from what I'm supposed to, that's the way that I understand. There's always an audit. When you do a bankruptcy filing, there's always an audit on the account to see, or not the account, but the filing, to see if there's problems, discrepancies, or if anything doesn't make sense, you know. So, if anything, what I could tell you is this. I'm seriously not going to, excuse me. I'm not going to sit here and address individual little things, because it's silly as hell to do that, because it's not in my hands, it's in the hands of the bankruptcy attorney, right? The bankruptcy attorney has to make sure that everything is correct, and if anything's wrong, gets fixed. So, if anything's wrong on there, I'm sure it's going to get fixed. The truth of the matter is, I gave 100% accurate information to the bankruptcy attorney. They filled out the paperwork. They sat me down and asked me more questions. I answered the questions, and the paperwork was finished and filed. And that's it. You know, that's the answer. So, you know, what else is there to it? Nothing, you know. People will sit here and say, oh, things are wrong. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. I don't know how it works. You know,
you can't plead ignorance like that when you already admitted that she asked you questions and you gave them the information. Now you're saying that, oh, you don't know what's correct and what isn't because you're not a bankruptcy lawyer. Didn't he give us the exact same line about that whole thing? In that whole spiel about, oh, I'm not a tax attorney. Didn't he give us that same silly shit too? And people told him how the process worked. And he said, oh, I don't know. You guys are, well, first he said you guys are wrong. And then he was like, well, I don't know. And then when it came out to be the people who were giving him advice or telling him how the process worked, when they turned out to be right, oh, well, okay, you guys turned out to be right, but how could I know, man? You know, I don't know. I don't have a background in this shit. Yet again, pleading ignorance because he wasn't man enough to say, you know what, you guys were right and I was wrong. Yikes.
Things as ludicrous as, well, we know Phil has a cat, and I guess on there's a section that says something about pets, and it was checked off that no, Phil does not have a cat. Now, if you use your head, okay, excuse me, if you use your head, you think, why would that section be on there? That section would be on there because probably there's an allowance for having a pet, right? Like saying, oh, if you have a pet, it's expected that a certain amount of money a month will go towards the pet, the budget for the pet or whatever, right? Now, knowing me coming from a background, I had a little bit of accounting training, not a lot, but I had a little bit of accounting training at one point. Okay,
That's funny. He made it sound like a whole fucking lot when he initially brought it up, and every time that, you know, after that, he made it sound like he knew what the fuck he was doing. Now all of a sudden it's not a lot. It wasn't that big. It was nothing that serious. It's just a little bit. Just a little something. Just a little bit. And this is the same idiot who was harping about how our schools don't teach us enough about finances and whatnot, and that he didn't have enough experience in it, which kind of put him in the position that he's in. But now he's saying, oh, I have a little bit of experience. Not a lot, but a little bit. But this is Mr. Valedictorian. You would think he'd be able to take a little bit of information and then maybe expand on it. Or you would think Mr. I run a business, a successful business, by the way, that he would sit there and be able to do his own research to figure out or to find out or to try to educate himself on business and how it's constantly changing, how it's constantly evolving. Oh, well, he couldn't do that. He didn't have time to because he had to focus on his own business. Despite the fact that he was on a public platform where he made all this money and he had all these other people who was in his lane who were sharing their information with each other publicly, and he had access to all of it. He may have even seen some of it, but he chose not to do it because he thought it was more work than what it was worth. All right.
That in accounting, things are not 100% black and white, that sometimes things can be swapped around. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes you could say, oh, a pet expense is a pet expense, but sometimes you could just group that into living expenses and say that's a part of living expenses, okay? So, yes, my attorney is well aware that I have a cat. Yes, my attorney is well aware that we spend some money on said cat every month, but maybe the attorney didn't necessarily fill out that one section saying that I have a cat, okay? But instead, took it into somewhere else, right? So that's how it works. I don't know, okay? I literally don't know how it works on that document. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't file it. I didn't fill it out. All I did was give information, and the document got filed, okay? So, you know, it is what it is. If there's things on there that are wrong, they're going to get fixed, right? They're going to get amended and fixed. This was just the initial filing. Basically what this is this is the initial filing to get you on the docket so that someone will finally assign you a case and start looking at it. Because if you don't put this in, it takes a while. Like, from my understanding is it could take over a month to even get someone to sit down and look at it and schedule any kind of a hearing or a situation depending on your bankruptcy filing. So, you know, once you get all the information, you want to file it as soon as possible. And then, you know, if there's issues or discrepancies, those are fixed along the way. But certainly, I'm sure my bankruptcy attorney has never had a situation where so many eyes were going to be on the bankruptcy filing at once. You know what I mean? Like, never, I'm sure never, ever have there been this many people looking at this and microanalyzing it and trying to pick it apart, you know? So, there you go. That's the truth of the matter, is there's nothing to it. It's no big deal.
You gotta listen to me. Read.
The hilariousness of idiots. Oh yes, Phil willingly perjured himself. And
you being 500K in debt isn't a big deal? And having a group of people, as I said, that is motivated and driven, who know the larger majority of the facets of your life, and the majority of it they can back up. Them sending that information to a particular lawyer or to a particular bank that's on that filing, it wouldn't be a big deal? I don't know. This is what happens when you're narrow-minded. You're not looking at the situation as a whole. Just saying, Phil, you say that we're all brain-dead idiots who have nothing better to do with their time and have fucked up your business. You don't think they wouldn't take that extra step, quote-unquote, if they were willing to take that extra step to fuck up your life with this whole bankruptcy thing? I didn't think about that, huh? Yet again, you shouldn't underestimate your opponents.
And, said all this. I was like, what are you talking about? This is... I sat down, I provided financial information. By the way, it's all backed up. The documents and everything everywhere to prove everything that's in those that I said is in those documents. It all exists. It's not like I just pulled it out of my ass. You know what I mean? So there's just stupidity. That people would just make shit. Oh yeah, I just think that this is Phil completely lying. Sorry, I'm talking so slowly, too, because like I said, guys, I'm dying here. I do not feel good today. Okay, so, anyway, yeah, that's the situation. It's not a big deal. It really isn't, but that's it. People want to blow it out of proportion and act like it is, but this is apparently how it works, is, it's a standard process. Information is transferred to a petition is filed, a petition is audited. If things don't make sense, the petition is amended with updated information, and then the final petition finally goes to the court, and that's when you apparently, have your determination of if, will you qualify for the bankruptcy or not, and that's how it works, okay? So I knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. I knew people were going to freak out and be idiots. I knew that my personal information was going to be posted all over the internet, and there's nothing I could do about it. My attorney knew that as well. I told her way up front, this is going to happen. Expect it. There's nothing that can be done here. It's going to happen. We handle it as things happen. I'm absolutely sure that more than likely if things were filled out incorrectly, there will be amended and it'll be fine. Again, I'm not the professional here at all.
So then what makes you think, and what gives you the authority to tell people that if things do come out wrong, they'll get amended and they'll get fixed and everything will be fine if you don't know shit about shit? You're so quick to tell everybody else they don't know nothing that you are admitting yourself you don't know shit. And yet they should take your word over everybody else. Yikes. Alright then.
Of course, we have insane amounts of idiots in the stream chat today, which we expected. You knew you were going to get an influx of idiots just coming in here saying dumb shit because of this. And that's fine. It's to be expected. I'm certainly not going to put up with it all day long. I'm not. Just tell you right now, I'm not.
It's a public filing. I knew it was coming. I knew it would be microanalyzed. We knew there'd probably be a few things that were wrong or discrepancies that would be fixed. They're going to be fixed, and that'll be the end of it. It's not that big of a deal. But people want to act like it is.
Why couldn't you just be honest and just fill it and take your time filling it out? So this way there would be little to no mistakes, so you could basically almost like streamline the process. Why would you put you're gambling yet again with your life here, and this is only the first hurdle. There's going to be more, and yet you would gamble with your life to such a point. You would think you'd want to alleviate as many mistakes as possible. Like, this is the stupidity, ladies and gentlemen, of DarkSydePhailure, of DsP, of Phil Burnell or Philip Burnell. This is it right here. It's because of that whole "it's not a big deal" is the reason why his dumbass is where he's at now. It really is. This is the reason why his ass is where he's at right now. Because he wasn't taking shit seriously enough. He deserves to lose everything. Call me whatever you want to call me. He deserves to lose everything.
You do. Keep in mind, every one of you, and I mean this too, every one of you, alright? Every single one of you who went over there to one of their drama channels, alright? Every one of you who went and, looked at all that nonsense and basically, oh my god, You gave them exactly what they wanted. You allowed these people who are not legal professionals, who know nothing, who literally just talk out of...
You know nothing either. You're not a legal professional. You've already professed that. So you know, supposedly, you know as little as we do. The thing is that there's more of us than there is you. But just going with the narrative, he's not a legal expert either.
Their ass on a daily basis and speculate about drama to get views and attention. You essentially paid them for nothing. And that's because you're stupid. I'm sorry. It just is. It's because you're stupid.
And then you're going to get mad because people don't want to contribute to you, or people feel like you're talking down to them, even though right now you're blatantly going to call them stupid. I bet you if you called Phil stupid, he'd have a fucking fit. But he can call you guys stupid because, you know, he's better than you. Or he at least tries to present himself in a better stage of life than you. And you guys just have to sit there and take it. That's fucking amazing. That's a thing, apparently.
Am I toxic? More toxic, more toxic.
Instead of actually, like, just coming to the source, or just saying, whatever, it's none of my business, you know, Phil's here for gameplay streams, right? You wasted your time, and you went over to someone who's literally creating a situation that doesn't exist, and is not a big deal. And so, Larry, oh, you're insulting your audience. No, I'm not. I'm not insulting my audience. My actual audience is not here to hear about this. My audience is like, man, I really wish Phil didn't have to talk about this on pre-stream today. I wish Phil could have just had a nice day where he came back, he's sick, he sounds awful, and he's coming back and he could just talk about games, and we could have a fun, chill day here today on stream. But instead now he has to deal with this stupidity because of the shitheads who are constantly in every little aspect of his life to make his life a living hell. Because they can. It's not because they get benefit out of it. Of course, the YouTube content creators, of course, do get something out of it. They get money. But the average little shitheads who want to create drama everywhere, they don't get anything out of it. They just get laughs and, oh, I love making fun of someone's life, right? I love it. Well, you know, it is what it is. That's why I'm in the position I'm in, you know, because people just wanted to make fun of my life in 2015 and caused a dramatic dip of my income for about 2 years. That's why I'm in the situation I'm in, because if I kept making what I was making on YouTube, I would have never had this issue at all.
This is a situation.
Yet again, that's not true. He would have found more reasons to overspend. Period. Like, period. If nothing else, karma has come through probably at just the right time to stop his ass now, before it could get worse. Before it could get so much worse. You know what I mean? Because sometimes if you're not stopped, then you'll be stopped. And if you have to be stopped, it'll be a whole lot worse. That's what this is. You have someone who is pleading incompetence. Out and out. And yet has the nerve to say that, oh, if I was still making the same money I was making, I wouldn't get into these problems. But this is the same idiot that's telling you, well, even if I could make more money, it probably wouldn't actually matter because it wouldn't actually get me out of any trouble. So money is supposed to be the solution, but if I was making more money, it still wouldn't help me. Huh? What? Okay.
Where once again, I've done absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever, and I'm getting punished like I did, you know?
You know, all the credit cards and loans, the loans wouldn't exist. The credit cards would have been paid down. Would they have been completely paid off? Probably not. But they would have at least gotten paid down. It certainly wouldn't have gotten to the exorbitant issue that I'm in right now. You know, because of this. And it is what it is. But again, you know, it's not that I'm not taking accountability. Of course it's my fault. I'm the one who made the decision to move across the country. I'm the one who racked up all the debt trying to make ends meet and keep stuff afloat. I'm the one who couldn't find a way out of the situation no matter what I tried. You know, and it sucked. Every step of the way, every time I thought I had a solution.
The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, is he didn't try. He just went for a quick fix. He went for the easy way out. He didn't realize that maybe he was going to have to bleed a little bit to pull this off. He wasn't willing to do that. And that's why it all fell apart. You build a house on sand, ladies and gentlemen, eventually that bitch is going to sink. Eventually it's going to sink.
Worked out, or some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. That light would be extinguished by something else that would jump out in the way. And, you know, it's terrible. You know, and now, on top of all this, right, then I get sick.
As I've said many times, you know, people will get what's coming to them. It's called karma.
And it's like, now I'm fucking sick too. Right in the midst of all this happening. I'm sick as shit. I feel awful. I know I'm going to sound awful all day long. And I don't get to work yesterday, so now I don't make any money for a day, which is terrible, as you know. It's like when you're
Which is ironic because when the tax documents dropped, right? The tax documents dropped. What? The day before, or 2 days before, I should say. And then when shit was starting to really make its rounds, he decided to take the day off, and then he's coming back the day after that. So it's real convenient, if you will. It's kind of like when he knows he's gonna have a massive sub drop, and all of a sudden we take a day off, the day all the subs drop, and then we come back the next day and try to rally everybody. It's kind of like that. It's just really sad at the end of the day.
Boy, well, a day you don't work is a day you don't make money. It's not like I have paid time off or anything. I don't have sick days. So now, because I wasn't here yesterday, now I'm screwed over in that regard. Okay, it's a thing on top of thing. It's the usual thing on top of thing, right? And it sucks, you know. But that's life. You'll live with your choices, and you do what you can to try to move on. For me, my only real solution here is to declare bankruptcy and to try to get back to a square one situation. In fact, I've already been talking with my tax guy about it. You know, trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do for this coming year. Because obviously with all the money now I've now spent on filing for bankruptcy and everything, you know, there's no money to pay towards the federal taxes again.
Mark McCauley says, hint, hint. Dude, no hint, hint. I'm outright telling you, I really would appreciate some help via tipping.
And it's like, this really sucks. But, you know, that's what I mean. That's every time that something happens, oh, it's going to fix stuff, then other things snowball. That's been my life for like the past 5+ years. Ever since those false copyright strikes against Dspgaming. That's the start of it, and it just...
If that's the start of it, then yet again, it's still his fault at the end of the day. He just kept making bad decisions, and it came back on him. That's the reality. You make shitty decisions, and shit like this is going to happen, and that's what happened. You didn't have a plan. You weren't willing to think things out, and it came back on your ass. That's what happened. Shit ain't brain surgery. This is just what happens. And like I said, you did it to yourself. No one told you to react to a situation poorly like that, especially when he already had protection, so to speak. He already had protection from Machinima, and he still figured out a way to fuck himself over. Yikes.
Kept continuing, you know. You know, it is what it is. So, I'm sure we're going to have idiots coming by. I'm sure we're going to have people coming by and just trolling constantly. They think it's funny to kick you when you're down and make funny. Oh, you're going bankrupt and ha ha ha. Oh, look at this. Phil perjury and shit. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not even... What are you talking about? I didn't go in front of a court. This is the initial filing. It's just stupidity. It's absolutely stupidity. Okay? And it's just hilarious. To hear it and see it. But the thing is, you would say it's hilarious, except now it's going to negatively affect my streams probably for months, if not longer. Where you know people are just going to come in here and troll over stupid shit. Even though, like, I talked about this 2 weeks ago. So I guess people didn't believe me then or something. I don't know. Like, you didn't believe that this was coming, even though I told you up front this was coming, right? So that's it. Alright, so I'll leave it at this. And then we'll move on to the positive stuff, and we'll move on to the stuff we want to talk about on the stream, which this will be hilarious because the viewership will dip dramatically now because all the drama shitheads are going to be gone in a minute.
I didn't lie to you guys about anything. That's 100% a lie.
Financially, I've been in trouble for years. It just kept snowballing. Every time I thought I was going to find a way out, it just got worse because of something else. At this point, it got to the point where it didn't matter what I said or did or acted. No matter what I did, it wasn't getting better. There was no way to fix it. So the only way to get myself out of this situation is bankruptcy. That's why I'm doing it, because I'm a public figure. People are all over every little aspect of doing it because of the fact that basically they're shitheads up in my business. You know, they want to tear apart. They want to believe that I'm some kind of a liar. You know, they want to believe that I'm some kind of a dishonest person, and that I am, you know, basically some kind of a scumbag who's been either, I don't know, hoarding money. I don't even know. I have no idea at this point, because obviously what the bankruptcy petition proves is that I have no money. Like I've been saying all along. No matter what I make, it just immediately gets pissed away to something else, you know? So I don't understand why people would think that I'm a liar, but I guess they're that dumb, is that they just don't want to believe anything. They just want to continuously believe that I'm some kind of a liar. It is what it is, okay? So, that's the situation. The reason that people are going crazy is because the bankruptcy filing went public and everyone saw it. Okay? And when they see it, they go nuts. Absolutely. They go, oh my God, you know, look at this. Let's call out all of Phil's shortcomings and all his problems, which of course you knew was going to happen because that's all they do. They would never look at themselves.
But the irony is the way he's talking. He's one, you can tell he's disappointed that the information came out public, and two, he wouldn't have told them an iota of what was in that document if it didn't go public. He wouldn't have told them anything. You know what I mean? Or he wouldn't have gone into any real details about it. If he did, he'd been vague about it. And that's what he's really mad about. Yet again, he can't control his own narrative. But if he wasn't a dumbass, he wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. Yet again, he did it to himself. As silly as that sounds.
They only look at me to make fun of me. And of course...
And then we're going to sit here and cry like some 10-year-old. Like, me. They're picking at me. They're being bullies to me. He's 37. He's 37. Acknowledge the fact that you fucked up first, because you have no choice but to live with that shit. And then acknowledge the fact that you were too lazy, too stupid, or both, that you didn't come up with any reasons or come up with any solutions on how to get yourself out. And then third, where'd the money go? Because that's the real question. Where'd the money go? Which I'm starting to think that he tanked a lot of that money into his own mortgage with the in Washington, the Wakanda and whatnot, thinking that if he had enough in there, he could borrow from it to go ahead and pay off the credit cards, which is something which is similar to something he's already said. But he just never said that he's tanked money into. He was tanking extra money into the mortgage, even though, if some of you guys remember, he has admitted to like overpaying or double paying certain bills, but he never would say which ones. I'm thinking it was for the house in Washington, because at the end of the day, he had a lot gambling or riding on, I should say, his mortgage and whatnot, and hopefully being able to, or his equity, I should say, the equity in his home. That's what I'm thinking.
Say, oh, look at all these discrepancies we found. In reality, it's not a big deal for them to understand. Like I said, this is the initial filing. These are things that will get fixed, especially if there's little stupid things on there that were either omitted or completely, misclassified. That's why, you get fixed. You get it filed so that it gets into the system. It's going to get audited and fixed. And then you have your actual, situation later on where you go, you say, okay, yes, all this information is 100% accurate now and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So that's the situation. And that's it. That's all I'm talking about. All right? That's all I'm talking about. I'm done with it. There's nothing else to say. There won't be anything else to say. Anything else that's going to happen with this will go be behind the scenes. Okay? It has nothing to do with the content of my gameplay streams at all. And I'm not going to bother wasting time on it. Okay? Because there's no point. Alright? There's absolutely no point in discussing it further because, number one, it's none of anyone's business anyway. Number two, these are gameplay streams. These are not, my stream of my personal dirty laundry that's going to be aired publicly. Okay? Okay? Oh, I'm such a stupid idiot.
Do you think I'm stupid? Obviously, the answer is yes, you think I'm stupid.
Tax attorney tipped me $5, insulting me, of course, but says, if you can't manage your finances like a normal adult, how do you expect to keep up your bankruptcy repayment plan? Because I won't have all that other shit to pay. That's the point, is if I don't have to pay exorbitant amounts of money to credit cards and loans every month, that money can now actually go to taxes. That money can go to the regular bills that I told you that I'm behind on and, have been awful because I've been overdrawn and now how am I going to pay the electricity bill and stuff. That won't happen anymore because all of those creditors will be gone and I'll just be able to put money towards the essentials to keep the business operating. Okay? That's the point, is so much has happened in the past 5 years that debt never went away and it's just eating at me, getting more, becoming more and more and more because I can never pay it off or pay it down. And this will help to, fix that. Okay? Third Eye Cheered, he says, do you think credit card companies prey upon people like you? Seems like a person shouldn't be...
Or they'll just take everything. Or they'll literally take everything. Because he owes so much that even if not every bank decides to, let's reword that. Some of those banks aren't going to just sit there and bite that. They're not going to bite the bullet on that shit. Especially if they don't have to. You know what I mean? So, he really thinks the shit's just going to get wiped clean, and that's that. And if he's lucky, You know what I'm saying? Even still, he's going to get burned a little bit, but it's not going to be as easy as he thinks it's going to be. It's really not. And either way, he's still going to bleed. They're still going to bleed him. Yikes.
You're allowed to have more than one credit card any way, shape, or form. Credit cards in themselves are predatory practices. Anything that has interest, that is a variable interest rate that can accumulate on top of itself, is predatory. Alright? Credit cards are bad. In general, if you just have like one or
the
two...
credit cards aren't bad, ladies and gentlemen. It's the people who use them. You know what I'm saying? If you have no self-control, or if you don't have any sense of responsibility, then it's going to get over on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works. At the end of the day, you have the credit card in your hand. If you understand, right, everything that's in your terms and agreements and whatnot, you'll be fine. If you only use it when you need to, and I mean when you really need to or when you really have to, you're fine. Now, if you're trying to build credit, obviously, you need to kind of carry a balance over. You know what I'm saying? A little bit and whatnot. You need for a month or two or whatever, a couple months really, and then pay the shit off. But that's, you know, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, and that's if you want to even go that route. You know what I'm saying? You can build your credit by charging something and paying it off the next month, or you can charge something big like a big screen TV or whatever and pay it over the span of 3 months. You can still build credit. The difference is when you start getting lazy, when you start lacking, when you start just when you're not being responsible is when it gets to you. You understand what the terms are when you walk into it. No one hid anything. It is what it was. He understood that too. That's why he did all those balance transfers, which only fucked him more. Because each bank was basically looking at Phil Burnell like, oh, he was something to eat. And each one of them took a piece from him until there was barely anything left. That's what happened. And that's why he's at where he's at. It was his own irresponsibility that put him there. Not the credit cards. Or not the credit card companies. He fucked himself. He looked at their money as if it was his money. And he thought he had more time than he really did. And he didn't. And he fucked himself. And at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Yet again, Phil Burnell screwed Phil Burnell.
Credit cards. One credit card maybe you actually use for stuff, and one is a backup for emergencies. That's the ideal. Okay? When you start getting into more than 2 credit cards, it's bad. When you've got 13 credit cards, you're fucked. You'll never pay them off. It's just not possible unless you make an exorbitant amount of money in a short period of time and you can pay them off in giant lumps. Those balances will never go down. Okay? And like I said, certainly I'm not proud of the situation I'm in at all. It's embarrassing. It's disheartening. It's fucked up. I made tons of mistakes, you know, with things that I did when I moved out here. And again, it was all based on the assumption that I'd be able to pay it all down because of what I was making. And then I stopped making it for about 2 years because of trolls. And after that, I was fucked. Now at least I think you guys have a picture of what's going on with me. Because previously I would say this, and you guys would be like, ah, he's full of it.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, and I've said this before, but if he really wanted to cement this, like really drive the point home that, you know what, it was the detractors, trolls, and all that shit that really fucked me, and they're the reasons why the Dspgaming went into the shitter, he would produce the email. He would produce the email from Machinima and from YouTube that said, delete those videos. You have to. It's your only way. Or if not, you're going to lose the channel. Those same emails that he says exist. Those same emails that he says that are still available to him. He would just have to look for them. If he really wanted to put all this to bed, he'd produce those emails. And yet he's never thought about once doing it. And why would he care? Machinima's dead. At least, you know, according to him. You all know Phil was dancing on the grave of that shit on Twitter. Machinima's gone. It's over. Whatever information in there, it doesn't matter. It's like him. It's just prehistoric. So it doesn't mean anything. So it shouldn't be a problem for him to put it out there saying so. He can even black out certain lines and shit that we don't, or redact certain lines that we don't need to say, hey, you need to delete these videos. That's all he needs to produce. But he won't because it doesn't exist. And on top of that, he won't do it because if he types something up, he knows that people are going to automatically scrutinize it and be like, yeah, it's more likely a fake. And he's going to lose that fight too. That's why that never comes up. That's why he has to keep pushing this narrative home, and he's doing nothing but wasting energy. What little he has, it means nothing, but he wants to do it anyway because he has nothing. He has nothing else. Yikes!
He makes so much money, it doesn't matter. Now you understand that that money was literally just getting pissed away by these creditors every month. And there was no way for me to ever come back from it. Because, like I said, every time I had a chance, here comes something else to screw me over and take the money away that would have caught me up. Oh, here you go again. And it was just a big, ongoing, rolling clusterfuck problem. Okay? It absolutely sucks. But anyway, no, you know, a lot of people are saying, how did I get that many credit cards? Because I used to have impeccable credit. I told you, when I moved across the country, I didn't have any debt. I was making so much on YouTube on a monthly basis, and I had no debt, so my credit score was astronomically good. And I said, well, I don't have the money, so let's finance the move. Which is exactly what I did, and it ended up being the worst mistake of my life.
That's a contradiction in itself, because you said that you had impeccable credit because you had no debt and you were making so much money on YouTube, but then when it was time to move, you had no money? What? Didn't he also say in the Seattle vlogs when they were going house hunting that they were trying to save money for the move? So this trip right here is going to be done all on credit cards so he can rack up reward points and flyer miles and all that shit? I know I'm not the only person who remembers that, so that's a direct contradiction. Lie to me some more, Phil. Lie to me some more.
I would say. So there we go. Now Third Eye the Third basically says, oh God. He says the only way to get out of the hole, you say the only way to get out of the hole is to make like triple what you make. Why don't you pull out all the stops? Why don't you do live react videos? Why don't you do all the things that everyone else does to make money? Because there's no point. It's not going to work for me. It's just like everything else. For example, everyone else gets to do sponsorships. I don't get to do them. Everyone else does react videos. If I did them, it wouldn't matter. None of that's going to matter. It's not overnight. There's no magic solution to magically just like, oh yes, this is going to...
He can do sponsorships. They're just going to fail. He keeps saying, but the story was he should have said, oh, well, I can't do sponsorships because I'm banned from it. He didn't do that. He just said, I can't do them. He just said, I can't do them. I thought the lore was that he was banned from them. Like the bounty board on Twitch, which he's not banned from. I'm pretty confident that he's not banned from it. But everybody knows how it works, so he knows he's just going to get fucked, and whatever the tractor that's going to be restreaming him is going to actually get all the views. He knows it. He knows that better than anybody. Any other opportunities that were made available to him, excuse me, he squandered it away, or they were merely going to take advantage of him anyway. I mean, what's wrong, Phil? At least you got the chair, right? You know that meme? That hot take? So what's the problem? And granted, you can't be doing any of that stuff anyway, Phil, because that's what a shill does. A shill takes advantage of advertisement and sponsorship deals. You've said this. Those people aren't real gamers. They're just in it for the money. Oh, because you're desperate now, all of a sudden you're okay, you change your stance on it. Oh, well then that makes you a hypocrite. No, it means I'm doing what I have to do to save my business. No, it makes you a hypocrite. That's what it is. Because if any of those other people consider what they do as a business, then are they not doing what they can for their business too? Oh, that's only relevant when it comes to you, not when it comes to everybody else. Ah, I see. Yet again, makes you a hypocrite. DsP News.
Fix everything, and somehow I'm going to make an exorbitant amount of money on top of what I'm already making, and it's going to fix everything. It's not going to happen. And, that's not realistic, okay?
Save the pig! What the heck? A pig with a party hat. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Ziggy Piggy. Save the pig, the game. The whole game you're trying to save the pig's life. Help! By the way, I will say this, because of all the stupidity on the internet. I said it on the pre-stream earlier today, but I'll say it again. People are so dumb that they look at something like this, my bankruptcy filing that happened a couple days ago and went public, and look at it and say, there may be some discrepancies here from what we know about Phil, therefore Phil committed perjury, he's going to jail. You're an idiot. Anyone who says that is a complete and utter fucking idiot. It's not how it works. That's an initial filing, and if anything is found to not be correct, it can be fixed. In addition to that, for them to understand a lot of the stuff that people are calling out as discrepancies are not discrepancies. It's just that they didn't read the whole fucking report or didn't understand it. I already talked to my bankruptcy attorney about it.
Wait,
and
this cuck is running around saying we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, yet this idiot, at least the way I'm interpreting it, went back to his lawyer or his attorney, whatever, and asked them if what he was doing was correct and is he okay? Why is he second guessing himself if we don't know what the fuck we're talking about, though? Why would he do that? That's what he's saying, though, isn't it? I mean, maybe it's just me that's getting that vibe, but it sounds to me like that shit was getting to him, and he second guessed himself and had to go and get verification if what he's doing is actually correct. If that's the case, then bitch, you already lost. You already lost. Oh wow. That's just silly. That's just silly. Oh wow, that's he must really think his audience is stupid if they didn't catch that one. That's some wild shit. Jesus Christ.
They were like, no, it's like everything there is correct. You know, maybe there's one or two things that we're gonna do addendums to or we'll update. But for the most part, it's all correct. There's nothing problem. He says, don't listen to anyone idiot who's saying anything about legal ramifications of it. They're complete morons. They don't know what the fuck.
And then on top of that, this idiot, this only solidifies that this idiot is reading and or watching or he's actually kind of like frequenting where detractors, trolls, haters, and critics conjugate. He's knee deep in that shit. Because how do you get the information? And it had to be very specific so he could have, you know, direct points so he could go back to his attorney on this. He's exposed. I mean, this isn't the first time he's exposed himself. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But this isn't the first time he's exposed himself for parlaying in some ways with detractor content. What an idiot. What an idiot.
Talking about. This is not like you went in front of a court and you swore on a Bible and then you say, yes, everything there was 100% true. This is the initial filing that's going to change over time and it's fine.
It's still a legal document, though. That's why they had a line saying when you sign onto this, you're consenting that everything you said is truthful to the best extent of your knowledge. They didn't put that there for no reason, Phil. Jesus Christ.
But it's hilarious to me, to all these idiots on the internet who say stupid shit like that to cause drama. Like, literally not a single person ever in the history of filing for bankruptcy has filed a bankruptcy filing like this and gone to jail ever. Never. So you could have literally...
How do you know that? I doubt you looked it up. Just stop. Just stop.
Everything falls on it, and there's no ramifications. People are that stupid. Okay.
We can't be that stupid. We're not filing for foreclosure and bankruptcy. Just saying.
Okay. So you idiots believe whatever you want if you actually believe that. Okay? Seriously. If you believe that a bankruptcy attorney...
By the way, he gets off when he does that, by the way. When he does that lean-in ban, and the next time you see him do it, watch how he leans in and he does the ban, and then watch how slowly he pulls his arm back off the mouse when he does it. You'll get what I'm saying. You'll get what I'm saying when you see it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's still, like, it's almost like he still has the sensation when he's pulling his hand back. So, yeah, he gets off every time he does that, which is rather pathetic, by the way.
This is their job, is going to risk going to jail themselves for filing false information, right? You're an idiot. And people are just that fucking dumb to believe anything for drama purposes and to create a drama story for YouTube clicks, which is all it fucking is. Idiots who are doing that for YouTube.
Who are you trying to convince, man? Like them or yourself? Like, you're not, this means nothing. You're literally wasting time doing this. I'm gonna let you do it though, but you're literally wasting time doing this.
And make money. That's it. There's no truth to anything they're saying. They're complete idiots. So, So don't worry about it. It's gonna, everything's gonna be fine. I just knew there was going to be controversy and drama as soon as it went public because you knew people were going to be idiots.
Focus on how he keeps saying how it went public, which goes back to what Josh from Kiwi Farm said. Phil didn't know that information was going to go public. He was completely blindsided by it, but he had no choice. And that was that's first blood right there. Even though the majority of the stuff in there was already surmised by one detractor or another, and Kiwi Farms already had the information, his financial information. It actually matches up pretty good. It actually matches up so good, in fact, I wonder if Phil didn't pull some of his numbers off of Kiwi Farms. I wonder if he didn't do that. I wouldn't put it past him. And because the number, especially if the numbers are lower than what his gross income is for the year, it's a pretty nice scapegoat. It's a pretty nice way of going ahead and getting over on the system. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just surmising that. I have no proof.
And micro-analyze it and everything. Like, so does it say on there that you have a business in your name? Actually does. It's just not in the section that people are looking because they're idiots and they're looking in the wrong section. But that's the thing, because they're idiots. It's a bunch of fucking...
Oh, yeah, that nonsense. So, you guys have all heard the mythos of DSP Enterprises, silly-ass shell account, wild shit. I know Argent went over that years ago. If I can find that video, we'll go over it. Because Argent breaks that shit down and whatnot, so it's pretty hilarious. But apparently, Phil has a nice another little company that he calls DSP Production. No, he calls it Burnell Productions. It's not an LLC, though, at least as far as we know. And he's using that to run some type of silly-ass interference. I won't dwell on it right now, but it does make one wonder, when he had all that money and all of his debts were supposedly cleared up, that his dumbass didn't go to the bank and just go ahead and open up an LLC. It's kind of... It would have been amazing to see how history would have been written if he had gone that route. If you're going to call it a business, maybe you should just go ahead and establish it as such. What are you going to do?
And, 20-year-olds who make YouTube videos about drama and crap to make money instead of knowing anything about anything they're fucking talking about. They actually act like they know anything. They don't. Okay, so that's that. There's really no reason for me to bring it up or address it anymore because it's so stupid. But I just find it hilarious that, I knew up front nothing was wrong, but over the course of today, I actually went out of my way to contract my bankruptcy lawyer to say,
look at how they got to him. I knew that nothing was wrong, but I still chose to go out of my way to verify to make sure everything is all right. Yikes. Just like as Burnell saying here with the whole situation with the escort or whatnot, they had pulled his ass out of the burner. The tractors, trolls, haters, and critics have pulled his ass from the brink multiple times. Right here with the escort saga, right? Let's go back a little further than that. What's Leveria Media or Fotabi, whatever. That nonsense. If Sons of Kojima didn't fucking go through that rabbit hole, who knows where Phil could have been fucked in the long term, if not lost his could have lost one of his channels altogether. Wild shit. And Phil, I think, knows that, or he realizes that, and that's why he had to backtrack, just to make sure. Because, remember the mythos, ladies and gentlemen. His tax attorney back in Connecticut, who he had been working with for years, had fucked him over egregiously when it came to that state and business occupation tax. But now we're going to put all this faith in this other this other attorney, even though Phil has a history of being screwed over by attorneys, allegedly. Hence the reason why he backtracked. But it's funny, though, because I thought we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about, though. I thought we were all idiots. I thought we were all 20-year-old kids just trying to make a living off of your coattails. But yet, you're taking heed to some of that and going back and checking to make sure. I don't know, Scooby. I'm not feeling a whole lot of confidence there. I don't know. I don't know. It's like Phil was kind of reaching for the sunshine to brighten up his day. If you get the reference, you get the reference.
is everything fine? Because here's some discrepancies that people have brought up, and they said everything is completely fine. They're idiots. Don't listen to the dumb kids on the internet. So I'm just not going to anymore. Okay. All right. All right, guys. That's it. Have a good night. I mean, I need help now. But I mean, how many times can I yell help before people are like, enough is enough? Phil has indoctrinated children who send him money, blatantly milking for money. It's a money pit. It's gone. Just gone like that. In an instant. Fucking gone. I just care about money. I just can't help it. I eBay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and go into our last tasty segment of the broadcast, and then we'll go into the last video of the broadcast, and then we'll call it all a day, all right? So, Tasty's coming up now. I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Then we'll get into the next segment, and then that'll be a wrap. Here we go.
Distributions are mandatory, but I need your help. I am appealing directly to you.
How to play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Holy shit! That is an epic fucking intro, dude. And I have to warn everyone. Warning. What you may see right now is going to be absolutely disgusting. Sound good?
Alright, sounds good to me.
Nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the last video that's going to make up our broadcast, brought to us by Burnell, DsP. I am successful despite going bankrupt. Lessons about irresponsible use of credit cards. And that's basically it. This is from February 4th of 2020, our current year of gout. I feel like we've covered most of that in the last broadcast, but if he's going to elaborate on it, then let's go ahead and let's pick it apart, because that's what we do here. Here we go.
And so, your tips, very matter-of-factly, are going to do things like buy my groceries tomorrow. Wow!
Alright, so Internet Famous McCoy did a couple tips overnight. Let me read what he has to say here. First of all, it tipped me $5, and he says, "You've been open about making mistakes in the past. Everyone makes mistakes. You obviously made efforts to fix them, which is everyone's jumping on to make fun of you. How can you get attacked for old news? Will trolls move on? No. They never will. This is how they get their popularity, by making fun of someone. You know, one of the worst times of my life. Let's go ahead and destroy someone and make fun of them while they're down, right?"
Oh, you mean like Pro Jarrett? You mean like that situation? Probably one of the lowest points of Pro Jarrett's life, and Phil had his 2 viral tweets and whatnot. The gouty viper waiting 3 to 5 years to finally be able to clap back at him. It was okay for Pro Jarrett though, but it's not okay for DsP. Sure. Yeah. Gotcha.
Always me, I'm the victim complex guy.
Fine. That shows the real mettle of a man is, number one, someone who would do that. Someone you know they're obviously insanely down on their luck. You know, bad stuff going on in their life. Terrible things have happened. bad decisions, bad things have happened, to me. It's a combination of many factors. So, okay, bad situation, makes sense, move on. Or, let's just destroy this guy forever, right? Which is all it is, because all they can do to get popularity on YouTube is be toxic, negative individuals. So, that's who they are. I'm not surprised. I knew this was coming, when you're trying to...
Oh yeah, real quick, big ups to Polish Debo and whatnot for coming through on the clutch. He'll know what I'm talking about and whatnot. I appreciate it. It was Papa Vera. Yeah, good look on that. Good look on that, my dude. I appreciate that.
Fix stuff like I am. Certain things have to go public. I knew it was going to go public. And I absolutely knew that this was coming. So it's no surprise to me that this is exactly the behavior I expected from those people who are disgusting, immoral people.
Salud.
What can I say? But no, I don't think they'll ever move on. I think at this point they're going to be following me my whole life, no matter what I do. Because that's how obsessed and fucked up they are in the head. So, Famous McCroy tipped again. Another $3. He says, I'm not trying to sound negative in the last tip. I just think detractors are being unreasonable. You're taking enough crap where you technically already paid for whatever they think you did wrong. It's like trolls have an interest rate. Stay positive. No, and it's true. If you remember, in the past, people had pretty valid criticisms of me and my content. Phil is overly negative and totally doesn't take his time to play games properly, but then he makes fun of the games and the game devs. And his content is over the top ridiculous. He has too much, stupid, immature humor with sexual stuff and all of that. He really needs to improve and change. So I improve and change, and then it's on to the next thing, and then it's on to the next thing. It's called moving the goalpost. That's what you do, because the thing is, they realize, these people, that they got so much popularity making fun / criticizing me. They can't just let it go now. Oh God, Phil.
But wait, didn't he start his career by doing that same shit, and he was white hot popular for it, and he's been trying to claw his way back into position, hoof by hoof, ever since. And he still does a lot of that behavior. Where's the real change at? But yet we're the assholes, though. We're the insensitive ones. We're the ones that should have our humanity questioned. When it's already been proven that he's part pig, part roach. And you can throw man in there wherever you can fit it.
Change for the better, but let's go ahead and continue to move the goalpost to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, so that Phil will never be able to, in our eyes, be good or improve to the point where we'll leave him alone. Because they can't.
Well, why would you care to try to improve in our eyes anyway? And first off, if we're all brain dead idiots, we're never going to leave you alone, so you can just live with that. But why would you try to prove yourself to us anyway? You don't care. You've said that multiple times. You don't care about us. You don't care about what we think. You don't care about our money. So what's the problem? Why is it that you're always counting the money here? You're always giving a shit about what we think, and in a lot of ways, you're acting upon the things that we say and do, whether it's as a negative for you or a potential positive. What sense does that make, dude? Wow.
Alone, because they're now dependent on me in order to be successful, you see? So they're never going to. I know that. Like, my whole life, I'm probably going to be hounded by these fucking people. If I live to the age of 70, they'll probably still be bothering me in some capacity, and that's not...
Keyword is if he makes it to 70.
I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I actually expect that. That's how obsessed these people are.
Oh my God.
Third Eye, you're completely wrong. He said, I don't think anyone ever said your commentary should change. You're 100% wrong. I swear, go back. Go back to This Is How You Don't Plays from, the original 7 years ago or whatever, and everyone was like, man, this guy's an immature idiot. All he does is talk about sexual content and stupid kid jokes, and he really needs to improve and become more serious because he's doing this.
And don't forget about the racism, ladies and gentlemen.
Now it's not just him fucking around. If he's going to actually play a game, instead of just making a joke of it, he needs to...
Because remember, racism's fine, but talking about medical conditions or talking about gout and nasal drip is over the line. It's completely insensitive. They should be canceled for that. Remember that.
Serious, and that way people can take him more seriously when he talks about a game in a review and the like. This was a strong criticism of mine in the past. So all that changed. I became more mature over the years. I stopped doing that immature stuff. Now people complain the old days were better. It's like, no, it's bullshit. Because all it is moving the goalpost. See? No matter what happens, they're always going to say it wasn't good enough. YOLO Doppelganger cheered. He says, I wouldn't listen to these armchair lawyers about your bankruptcy filing. You hired a professional to do that. Ignore the idiot trolls and you'll make it out of this. No shit. I mean, I'm not stupid. I'm not stupid at all. I know that relying on a professional versus a bunch of idiots who are reading a 50-page document and know nothing about the law, and trying to microanalyze it to make me look like a villain. I know who's in the right and who's in the wrong. I'm not dumb.
Even though he acted upon what the villains told him to kind of solidify and justify what he was doing and what he's going to continue doing moving forward with his bankruptcy. Huh? Even the villains tell the truth sometimes. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
That's why I'm not freaking out about anything. I know I'm good.
Dude, seriously, if every single ridiculous tip that came in was ignored, if I ignored them all, I'd be silent the whole stream. So we at least need something to talk about, all right?
You know, Free for All Cast is funny. He just said something in the stream chat, even though it's not. He didn't. You know, it's not one of these contributions I'm giving a shout out for. He basically just said, in summary, you know, it's crazy because 2 years ago you told everyone that you don't have any money, even though you make good money. You told everyone you don't have any money. Now, of course, at that point I didn't reveal anything going on behind the scenes, but basically I told everyone, listen, I'm broke. I don't have money. That's why I need help with taxes and support and stuff. And no one believed me, of course, except for the fans. But no one believed me. All these critics of mine. Oh, he's full of crap. You got offshore accounts that you're hiding money in. You're flying in escorts and spending all your money on all this stuff, right?
I mean, the escort did turn out to be a girlfriend. It is what it is. And like I said, we don't really know where he pulled the money from to fly her out 2 or 3 times before she finally moved in. Just throwing it out there.
2 years later, I have to file for bankruptcy, proving I have no money.
No, what it did is it proved that you became it proved that you're incompetent. And you kind of just reinforced that over the next 2 years. That's really what it proved. It proved that you're a fucking idiot. It proved that you're incapable. You're insufferable in a lot of ways, but you're certainly incapable. That you couldn't do not a goddamn thing for yourself over 2 years. 2 fucking years. He couldn't do a goddamn thing for himself. That's what the truth is. Yikes.
I'm proud of this. You gotta take pride in what you do.
I mean, now, oh, look at this, he had no money. No shit. I've been telling you that for years. It's not like this is some weird, shocking revelation. The thing is, these idiots don't believe anything I say because, again, they have to spin everything negatively in order to be popular. So, if they just listened to me 2 years ago, this would all make sense. And it would have all been, making a lot more sense. But that's it, these idiots don't, like, oh, he's a liar and he's this and that. And even now, I do a legal filing. Oh, he's a liar. I'm like, you're fucking so pathetic. But anyway, I agree with you.
We're so pathetic, yet you're hearing it. He's actively trying to pander to us, though. Okay, sure.
Broadcast, yes. All this was disclosed long ago, publicly. It's just these idiots are too stupid to understand it. So, Bundy tipped me $1. Do you think snorting and throat clearing is a tic or a symptom of Tourette's? Yes. As you all know, guys, I'm a victim of suffering from Tourette's syndrome. That's what it is. It's not that I have gunk in my throat and I'm about to cough constantly and I need to clear it. It's that it's imaginary. Obviously, this congestion that's in my head right now that you can hear, it's completely made up. Alright, so here we go. Here's something hilarious. I gotta read this because this just shows how dumb my critics are. I say my critics, they're not. They're really my detractors. Ready? So, Enron tips me $1 and says, if a company claims they're successful but goes bankrupt, how exactly are they a success? With expenses out in the public, why do you lie to us saying you're successful knowing deep down you are not? Because I am. Because here's the difference, okay?
The meta behind the name and the question is godlike. Good shit.
Wow.
I am personally filing for bankruptcy. My company is not bankrupt.
What company? You don't own a company. You don't own a company. And you're not a business. So now all of a sudden we have a company? Okay, let's fish this out.
My business is fine. That's the truth. The problem is I have accrued an insane amount of debt in my own personal name, not in the name of the business. All of my debts started when I moved across the country, and I financed not only the move, but furnished a house, amongst other things that I had to spend on during that 1 year period. And I assumed I was going to continue to make the amount of money that I did so that I could pay all that off. Sadly, that didn't happen. I accrued a ridiculous amount of debt and then immediately lost a ton of income for about 2 years because of trolls fucking with my YouTube channel, Dspgaming. And because of that, I couldn't pay it anymore. So what I had to do was borrow more money to pay it. Pay this to, you know what I mean? I was juggling. I was transferring balances.
Duh, like how stupid can you be? Man, I'm stupid.
Oh, I'm such a stupid idiot. I was racking up more debt to pay the other debt. And the problem with unsecured debt is that it
So you weren't successful. The moment he said he had liquidity problems, raising capital, and then had to borrow to make up for that, and still was excessively spending, proves it. It's almost like he was a failure from the beginning. It's almost like he was a goddamn joke. It's almost like he was nothing. Just like how he felt before YouTube. Maybe I'm just being too harsh. I'm not. But I'll say that for right now.
Exponentially, instead of, oh, this is a loan that I can just pay down slowly. When a credit card is racking up interest, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, and that's what was going on behind the scenes.
It was a loan that I was going to pay down slowly. You don't know how stupid you sound saying that? You already have a problem raising money, so you're going to take out a shitload of loans and rack up a bunch of credit cards, knowing damn well you were probably never going to be able to pay that off. Which is the truth, by the way. Yikes.
Everything. And I tried to tell you guys about it without giving you specifics, and it's hard to do, to explain that to people. But, yeah, my company...
So you make it sound like it's their fault for not going ahead and taking the hint, when they didn't have enough information to act upon anyway, and you're a pathological liar, so they didn't know what to believe and what not to believe anyway. Okay.
Bankrupt. My business is not bankrupt. My business is doing well. It's profitable. The problem is...
Your business is not profitable because you're in debt. Which means all the money that you make goes somewhere else. That's not profit. I don't know, Phil, if you know what profit is, but your business isn't profitable. It hasn't been profitable for a number of years. It wasn't profitable before you started incurring the debt. Because you wouldn't curb your spending, because you don't believe in saving, because you don't believe in investing, is the reason why you're where you're at. So much for having a savings account. And rainy day funds, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is what is Phil's definition of it, just in case you haven't heard this hot piece of lore, is money you put aside for a rainy day when you can't do anything. So you spend money, like if you can't go to like an amusement park or something, so you spend money on indoor activities. That's what a rainy day fund is. That's his definition, I should say, of a rainy day fund. Yeah, it's a thing.
The profit gets sucked up by this insane amount of unsecured personal debt that I have. And and also, quite frankly, the condo in Connecticut that I have not been able to rent or get rid of. So all that's going on, and any money that I make immediately gets sucked to creditors. So I've been busting my ass for years, right? Putting out all these streams for you guys and actually making great money doing it, and immediately all the money gets pissed away because I have to legally pay all these people. That's been the problem, okay?
Because I have to legally pay all these people. Were you intending not to pay them? That's kind of what it sounded like. But let's delve in further.
So that's the difference. You know, my company is not going bankrupt. I am. There's a big difference.
What company? You don't have an LLC, as far as I know. If anybody can correct that, you can let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comment section. Hit me up on Twitter. Don't follow me on Twitter, by the way. Like, seriously. Don't follow me on Twitter. It's too much shit posting. It's too much random shit. It's too much detractor content. It's too much naked chicks. Trust me, don't follow me. Please don't. Just, you know what I'm saying? Send me a DM and whatnot. It'll take me a couple days, but I will accept it. And then after I accept it, then you can DM me whenever you want. Yeah, don't follow me. Trust me, there are other detractors out there that you should be following. Don't follow me. Unless I make another Twitter account and shit, and I strictly decide to keep that one clean. But don't follow me. Just send me a message.
And a big legal difference there. But the thing is, you don't understand that because you don't understand the law. You don't understand how business works. Okay? You don't understand anything. All you do is you listen to a bunch of dumb shitheads on YouTube who make fun of me to make money and have no actual knowledge of anything, how anything works. In fact, they probably can't even get their own lives in fucking order, but they have to realize that this is a gravy train for them to make fun of me, so they just make shit up constantly.
Well, I mean, in contradiction to that, I mean, they must have their shit together if they were able to profit off of you. 2, they're not out here begging for money, so obviously they already have a leg up on you already. 3, You're the one that's sitting here having to beg children and what? Well, wait a second. You're having to convince and or educate children so you can siphon money out of them to make up for mistakes that you've been doing year in, year out for over at least 5 or 6 years. Yet we're supposed to be the brain dead idiots. Okay, that makes a whole lot of sense. Sure, gotcha.
Okay? So, my advice to you, wake the fuck up, stop being an idiot.
I don't have items to get rid of toxic.
And then he's going to talk down to people, the same people that he's depending on to give him the money to help him get out of this. Genius move number 4. He's on a roll as a valedictorian, you guys know.
So I can't cure toxic. Devour.
Oh my god. Third on the third chair. Is there a chance you'll have to move back in with your parents? No. It's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. Anonymous.
It will be. Being 38, 39, divorced, no cat, and then, having to move back home with mommy and daddy. And then forced to basically take care of them until the end of their lives. And then you being left with nothing after they pass. And if it was anything like, and if the thing with your parents end up like how it was with your aunt, Phil, or your aunt, however you want to say it, and there is little to no money left for you, you would probably more than likely end up being stuck with their debt too, at least some of it. Yikes. I mean, at least you get a house out of it, and we know their house is paid for. But it's smack dab in the middle of the ghetto, so it's not going to be worth much, right, Phil? Right, Phil? Right.
Anonymous Dollar Tipper is asking about some detractor meme saying, I've heard memes about a turtleneck. I'm from Australia. I don't even know what a turtleneck means. Is it the same as a roll neck? A turtleneck is like a sweater or a long sleeve shirt that has fabric that covers your neck, but you're right, it kind of rolls over. So it basically has like a double layer around your neck to keep your neck warm. In particular, you would wear a turtleneck in, colder months to stay warm. I still don't understand where the meme comes from or what it means at all. I'm completely ignorant to these memes, so I don't know. Terrible Tur, to me, Dollar says, would you consider explaining the harm using a credit card and what it can do if used irresponsibly? Sure, absolutely. A credit card can be both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a double-edged sword. A credit card can build your credit. At a time when maybe you have limited to no credit, getting a low-balance credit card and using it responsibly, meaning only charging a couple things a month to it and making sure you pay off the balance completely every month, actually will build your credit in a very healthy way and allow you to qualify for other kinds of credit. Like, for example, if you're looking to get a car loan, you can't just walk in and get one if you have no credit. You need to establish your credit first, and then you can walk in and get a car loan. So having a credit card that's reasonable is actually a very safe and good thing as long as you're paying it off every month.
Any credit card can be reasonable. Yet again, it's how you use it.
That you don't want to do if you have a credit card.
Well, almost any credit card.
Is put a balance on it that you cannot pay off. Okay? Even if you
then
think,
that would come down to the responsibility of the user then, wouldn't it? It wouldn't actually be the credit card company's fault. That's like Phil saying, oh, they gave me a $20,000 balance. I thought I was expected to spend it. Which is kind of what he's alluding to be honest. Oh, well, they gave me $20,000, so I spent $20,000. I didn't know I was going to be stuck with a 24.99% interest rate. Or I did, but I didn't, why would they give me such a high credit line if they didn't want me to spend it all? It's kind of retardation like that. That's the kind of dumb shit that Phil Burnell did.
oh man, I'm going to rack up.
And this idiot has been doing that more than likely since his first credit card in his teens. And he never learned. 20 goddamn years later, he still didn't learn.
Money on this credit card, but I'm going to pay it off in small installments. You're still going to be paying interest on that unless you have one of these credit cards as a promotional rate. And boy, let me tell you guys, okay? Let me tell you guys, don't fall for the promotional rate nonsense. Because boy, is that a trap. You think, oh yeah, I'm going to rack up this credit card. It's a 0% for a year. That means I have a whole year to pay it off, which is technically true. However, what the fuck's going to happen in that year? Because that's actually some of the biggest things that happened to me.
It's not a con job. See, if you're an idiot like Phil Burnell and you still decide to only pay the minimum monthly payment, like the bare minimum, yeah, you're going to get fucked. Yeah, you're going to get fucked royally. The point of doing a balance transfer is you're given, well, he only got 12 months, which means his credit really isn't that great, to be honest with you. Like, if his credit was good, he'd get anywhere from like 18 to like 24 months. Shit, there's some cards that'll give you 36 months, depending on, like I said, what you're doing. And they'll let you transfer multiple balances from multiple cards. Anyways, hopefully you don't have to worry about getting to that point. If you're moving one large balance from one credit card to another, you're being given this opportunity, excuse me, to pay off one card and to now be able to give every amount that you can to the second card where you're doing the balance transfer, and all of your money going to the principal. You don't have to worry about, oh, a good portion of it's getting sucked into interest. Every good thing goes straight to the principal, which is what you're trying to pay down. It's the primary balance, if you will. If you're an idiot like Phil and decide to pay the bare minimum for 12 months, or like for 11 months or 10 months, if you will, and then realize you only have 2 months left and you don't have, I don't know, whatever thousands of dollars that was left on that balance, then yeah, you're fucked. Yeah, you're kind of screwed. Yet again, that's not the credit card company's fault. That's the user's fault. That's what the problem was. If he didn't occur the balance, excuse me, I'm sorry. If he didn't occur the balance in the first place, he wouldn't have had to worry about doing the balance transfer. If he had gone ahead and done right by the balance transfer, he would have had it all paid off in the time period and it wouldn't matter. Then he has 2 fresh credit cards, both of them with at least decent credit lines at that point, and he just keeps it moving. Phil's an idiot, though. And Phil apparently has a problem with borrowing money and paying it back. That's what it seems like. And that's what the problem is. It's not the practices of the bank. It's that of it's of the users. If you set yourself up to be a sucker, to be a victim, to be taken advantage of, then that's what people will do. Sorry, but that's the reality.
You fell for it.
Well, not everybody, but most people, especially most businesses.
Congrats, you fell for the marketing scheme. I like how you're laughing too.
Well, it's funny.
Okay, in this situation is I racked up a bunch of these credit cards at 0%, thinking I'm just going to pay these off within a year and a half before the interest rates expire. Or a lot of these credit cards also had these promotions, balance transfer at 0%. Okay, so it would be like, rack up one card. Pay
Wait, so I actually gave him a little bit more credit than I should have. So he not only was he racking up balance transfers, but he was also taking advantage of cards that had just 0 APR or 0 interest for X amount of time, and decided to, just as I told you guys earlier on in this broadcast, he decided to run the goddamn balances up, thinking that he had time to pay it off, and he just didn't pay it off because Phil has a psychological fucking problem with paying back money that he owes. So he fucked himself too full. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's the detractor's fault, it's Tevin's fault, it's the credit card company's fault. Oh, and it's also the education system here in America for not teaching idiots not to be idiots. Can't say anything about mommy and daddy, because mommy and daddy are still taking care of them.
As much as I can within the year. If I don't pay it off by the end of the year, transfer to another card that's 0%. So basically I'm paying no interest on anything. It's just like a payment plan paying everything down. That would have actually worked if I didn't have a giant decline in income. Like, you guys seriously don't understand the insanely negative impact on my entire life the trolling in 2015 had on me. You don't. Like, I know that I talk about it and people joke about it. Oh, he's just making it up. When my Dspgaming channel lost so much viewership and so much income in 2015, that's where all of this started. Now, I take responsibility for racking up the debt. That's my fault. But the fact that I had a big decline in my income for 2 years because of that trolling activity, that's what fucked me over. And that's why I'm in the situation I'm in. Because it just...
No, he was already in a decline before that. Okay? His best years were from probably 2011 to 2014 at best. At best. He was in a decline. He wasn't willing to change the business. He wasn't willing to change himself. He wasn't willing to do what needed to be done to be successful. He wanted to keep coasting along, making ridiculous money because Machinima was overpaying him. He's admitted that. I've said that plenty of times before. That's what screwed him. Yet again, it all comes back to self. And like I said, I'm getting really fucking tired of hearing this nonsense about it's the detractor's fault. Fuck that. Fuck him. He did it to himself. If he wasn't running around here acting like some brain-dead idiot, like some fucking muppet, and took some goddamn responsibility, he wouldn't be where he's at. For Christ's sake, he had to move 2 women across country just so they take care of him. He doesn't love any of these women. He doesn't give a rat's ass about either one of them. He'll do whatever he can to keep them complacent. As long as they do what he wants. Cook for him, clean for him, and if he's lucky, they'll touch him. What's the fucking reality?
A snowball effect from then. I had all these cards I was trying to pay down, and I couldn't do it anymore because I didn't have the money for it. So now you're going to minimum payments, and now, of course, I can't pay this off before the interest hits. What do I do? Balance transfer time ran out. Now what do you do? Now you're fucked. And that's what happened to me is I got completely fucked with an insane amount of debt that I could not pay down, and I ended up having to take out loans and doing other things to keep stuff afloat for further and trying to keep making ends meet. And the truth of the matter is, in 2017, I was recovering. Remember, I became a full-time streamer. My income came back up again to where it kind of... Not that I've ever hit where I used to be when I was big on YouTube. That's insane. But my income came back up again, and I was like, wow, maybe I got a light at the end of this tunnel, all right? And then the tax issue happened, where I got screwed over by my tax attorney in Connecticut, and now I had to pay a ridiculous amount of money to get out of that situation, and I just ended up back at square one again. So there you go. It was just basically a big snowball effect because of credit cards. If I had never charged up those credit cards, I never would have been in the situation that I'm in. So, using credit cards responsibly can help you tons. It could build your credit. It could give you a way to fall back. Like, for example, the good way to have a credit card is, okay, have one for emergencies. Oh my God, something happened. My car broke down. I got sick and I had to go to the hospital, and now I have these bills I have to pay. Use the credit card. That's the smart way to use it. Now, I'm going to finance a giant project or a move with these credit cards and plan a way to pay them down slowly over time. That was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done in my fucking life, and I'll probably...
Well, yeah, because you're just bad at planning. Like, someone else with some common sense probably could have done that and got away with it. Well, and could have done it and been successful. Not you, though. You're a Burnell. You're bred for failure.
For the rest of my life. Right? What can I do? It's too late now. Thank you, Jimmy, 2 times for the $1 tip. No, I'm not debating suicide, but thanks for asking. What a nice thing to ask a streamer, huh? Are you debating suicide? Yeah, no. I told you guys, I love my life. I'm not going nowhere. Good Game Goblin tipped me $1.
We'll see once you don't have the house. We'll see how you decide to play that out.
He says, if things get rough, you can move in with me. No thanks. And I'm not reading the rest of your ridiculous message, but thank you for the $1 tip.
I'm out. I'm fully out of the closet, as you guys know. I'm out of the closet. Fully out of the closet. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see why John left. Would you really want that on top of you? I can see why Panda left. Would you really want that on top of you? Yikes.
Janus. Hugh Janus. Thank you for the $1 tip, but you don't know what you're talking about. You basically said, well, how did the move cost $500,000? It didn't. You obviously have no idea what you're talking about, but thanks for the $1 tip. But this is what I mean. People are dumb. Phil moved across the country and it cost him $500,000. No, it didn't. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Record Keeper tipped me $1. No, that's not true at all. He says, didn't the 2015 false copyright strikes happen after the Project 7 scam? Wasn't that the reason the person did the strikes? Because they got pissed off?
Actually, if you kind of think about it, if you think about it, the guy's right. Because, think about it, he was already fucked on the condo and chose to move anyway. Then the cost of moving, and then all the debt, at least allegedly, toward, within his storyline, whether within his timeline, all of the debt that he racked up, if you will, while he was in Washington State. So theoretically, he's kind of right. He's kind of right. Yikes. Anyway, but yeah, if one looked at it as a certain way, you know what I'm saying? Because if he never made the move, he would have never had the insane debt. The guy didn't say that the debt itself was strictly based on the move, but as a byproduct of the move itself, it was just he should have never moved across country. He should have stayed where the fuck he was at. He should have stayed in his lane. He should have read the position. He should have read the script and played his fucking part. That's what he should have did.
Not because it was a random troll attack. No, not at all. In fact, it was proven through this person publicly admitting it, that they had been giving me fan art over the course of that year with the intention to strike down my channels no matter what. The scapegoat was the Project 7 scam, which wasn't a scam at all. It was me raising a few $100s on Patreon saying I was going to make a Project 7 reboot trailer.
A few $1,000s.
which I didn't come through on. I apologized publicly. And the next month on Patreon, I lowered the goals to make up for it, because the money had already been collected and spent, so I couldn't give it back, and there was no one to give it back to, because there's no way to tell who pledged to Patreon for a specific goal anyway. So instead, I said, okay, I'll lower the goals next month as a way to give back to the people.
Sorry. When I had paused it, it kind of bleeped it. He said it was for the trailer, but it wasn't for a trailer. It was for a series. This has already been debunked. And a nice little notification, or a nice little tidbit that he threw in there, though, is that the reason why he didn't refund people their money initially, if you're going back to pig lore, is the reason why he didn't refund anybody their money, or he couldn't, is because, one, PayPal wouldn't let him, allegedly, or not PayPal, excuse me, Pay Me Tons, Patreon wouldn't let him refund the money, is because they just wouldn't let him do it. And then Sons of Kojima, I think, debunked that shit. Then he said that he couldn't refund the money because he didn't know who donated what for what, even though the major draw was being part of Project 7. So, for example, in it being revived altogether, so that's a thing. Now he's telling us that he couldn't refund the money because, well, he had already spent it. The moment he got it, he spent that shit. So that's the reason why no one can really get their money back. Yikes. Which actually gives even more credence to the whole situation with tips and with PayPal, and why he keeps excuse me. And why he keeps racking up fees, more than likely, with PayPal, is because instead of letting the money sit in PayPal until it clears, probably a day, you know what I'm saying, maybe 2, but probably a day, he wants to take that shit out immediately so no one can charge it back. Because, you can't charge nothing back if there's no money there. And I would assume he's getting into trouble with that. He's a fucking idiot.
And admittedly, people felt bad.
Yet again, it's a shame that his PayPal information isn't on that document, because it makes one wonder, if it was, is it possible for someone to view some of the transaction history? Which means, not to say that you could or you couldn't, I'm just throwing it out there. But if so, if one was inclined to do so, could you actually check and see how many chargebacks does he get a month, and how many of them are actually successful? And how far could you go back in that charge history? Could another bank, or could even the court, subpoena all that? And if they do, they can probably make that public. I mean, probably. Keywords probably. And if that's the case, maybe, just maybe, if those were willing to, we could go back to King Tut and find out exactly what the situation was with that. Maybe, just maybe, if anybody really was interested in trying to find out who Emerald 7 was, maybe we can find out how much of that was legitimate and how much it wasn't. The reason why I bring that up is because people have made the argument that it's more, what if Emerald 7 didn't actually exist, and that was Phil giving himself money to try to, I don't know, drum up some type of false sense of of contributions, I guess, which seems kind of counterintuitive, but Phil's an idiot. So I mean, it's possible that's a thing, even though it seems incredibly unlikely. Got to cover your bases, right, ladies and gentlemen? DSP News.
I didn't do the Project 7 trailer, and it is one of my shortcomings over the years that I fessed up to, that, yeah, that's something I didn't do. People told me they really didn't want it, but that's something that I didn't live up to as a commitment, and it's one of the mistakes I've made over the years. Right?
Wait, so now we went from no one was actually mad about it to KG, I think his name is, was mad about it, to now, oh, it was one of my shortcomings. It's one of the things that I set out to do and I didn't do it, but none of you guys really wanted it anyway, so fuck off. Now all of a sudden no one wanted it. Okay. Jesus Christ. Now look who's pushing the goalpost back.
But no, the truth of the matter is, the people who gave me those false copyright strikes have been giving me fan art to use on my streams for the year. They'd started early in that year. One of the guys had done those trailers. Remember when I did the green screen footage? He had actually edited the green screen footage to be me dancing around in front of like game art and stuff, so that I could do those as pre-stream bumpers for streams that year. Okay, because this was 5 years ago, but this is what was happening. So they'd been doing this for months and months, and it was all done behind the scenes to basically fuck me over and get my YouTube channels taken down. Because they publicly said it later, yeah, this is all our plan, we had this in place, and what it was when the Project 7 thing happened, oh, that's their scapegoat, let's use that as the way to say, oh, let's justify what we're doing. But in reality, it was just a way to cover their asses, because they had already been planning on doing this all year long. Okay, so Yeah, it's pretty fucked up to think that these people who I never met, knew nothing about, did these insanely malicious things to me and literally fucked me over for my life. My entire life now will be fucked over because of these people, because of how bad they hurt me, you know? Pretty messed up.
And I really do legitimately feel that being positive is a way that I'm going to get through everything I'm going through right now, and come out of the other end of this tunnel, you know, with a fresh start. So that's what I believe. And I share that positivity with everyone when I can. And of course, there's people who just don't want to believe it. My God, this guy's persevering through all this. No, he's our lol cow. He's our guy who we have to make fun of constantly. There's no way he could possibly come out on the other end of this in a positive fashion, because then our narrative doesn't work. And how are we going to continue to make fun of him if things work out, right? Miserable, disgusting people will always be like that. And sadly, there's a lot of those people on the planet. I'm not like that. So I'm going to continue to feel positive and feel like we're going to do better and things are going to get better. Save the pig! What the heck? A pig with a party hat. Hello, Mr. Piggy. Ziggy Piggy. Save the pig, the game. The whole game you're trying to save the pig's life. Help! Phil has indoctrinated children who send him money, blatantly milking for money. It's a money pit. It's gone, just gone like that. In an instant, fucking gone. I just care about money. That I just can't help it. I eBay. Contributions are mandatory, but I need your help. I am appealing directly to you.
That's fucking sad. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and clean up, and we can reconvene in a few minutes, because you guys do have a bill, so... Oh, well, this is actually kind of like the grand opening, though. Well, it's not... Well, yeah, it's like a soft opening. Alright, everything's on me. Everything's on me. It's a soft opening. It is what it is. I feel a bit more comfortable doing it that way. Alright, guys, give me just a second to go ahead and clean up and cover the bill, and I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Nah, a few seconds. It won't be long. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you very much to Burnell. I very much appreciate that. And whatnot. Thank you to Chio18. Very much appreciate that. We all do. And hopefully you guys like Tim Snortons. Now, let's go ahead and go over this. So, let's see where we're at. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap. Okay, so first one. It's almost 500k in debt, and I'm not committing perjury. Like I said, I'll get more into this as time goes on, so I don't know exactly what I can say is perjury or not. According to his documentation, they wanted him to be as honest as possible, and obviously he went out of his way not to do so. And even if, I mean, granted, even if it was perjury, he can plead ignorance, and on top of that, who's to say that they would really prosecute him, because at the end of the day, they want their money. And he owes so much money that they want their fucking money. So, I don't know. It's kind of the perfect storm of ignorance, if you will. Which may be what people allude to about his survivability. He's just stupid enough to kind of like be able to skirt responsibility at times. But I think this time he's definitely going to get burned. He's going to have to bleed a little bit. Let's see. I'm successful despite the bankruptcy. Bullshit. Absolutely pathetic. You're ridiculous. If you're filing for bankruptcy, it means you made a bunch of mistakes. Mistakes that you couldn't rectify. Which kind of means you kind of failed. I mean, it is what it is. You take the loss and you move on. For him to say that he's still successful is really pathetic. And lessons about credit cards. to be honest with you, he probably knew the majority of the stuff that he said, and he just didn't act upon it because he's an idiot. At the end of the day, you can't expect common sense to come out of an idiot. I'll tell you this right now, because this is what my parents always told us. You should never discount anything that a person says, or you should never consider you can't learn something new from somebody. There isn't anybody that's beneath you. And none of us are saying Phil is beneath us. We're just saying he's a goddamn idiot. There's a lot you can learn from Phil. His mistakes are fucking painfully apparent. There's a lot that you can learn from Phil Burnell, from DsP, from DarkSydePhailure, as it pertains to life, relationships, business, education, a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit that you can learn from Phil and whatnot. The problem is that more than likely it's going to always be at his deficit. Fuck him. It is what it is. It is what it is. I can't feel bad for that shit, and you shouldn't either. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you guys for the next broadcast. Like I said, from here, for a little while, we're going to go ahead and roll with this this layout, or this rollout, if you will, moving forward up until up until the quarterly, I guess, board meeting, I guess. I can't remember what I called on the show. Until that comes about, and then we'll get some feedback, and we'll see how we play stuff. Maybe I'll jump back and forth between them. We'll see, but I want to roll with this for a while so you guys can kind of get a feel for it. And Chio18 really worked on this and put a lot of thought into it, so I really want to put it out there so you guys can get a feel for it. I hope you guys really like it, and I'm sure she does too. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Like I said, I won't hold you guys any longer. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is DSP News. Always late, never breaking. Unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh yes, a GTG Network and Productions. For the Snort Report, I've been your host. Well, for the Snort Report, SnortBucks Coffee, and now Tim Snortons. I've been your host / anchor and the cute pup in the sharp suit that picked up the bill, GTG, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, guys. And like I said, I hope you guys like it, and so on and so forth. Take care of yourselves, guys. See you on the next broadcast. And don't forget about the about Sunspot's gallery and their new SnortBucks express delivery service. Do not forget about that. Like I said, I'll leave links down below and whatnot, so you can go ahead and check that out. And you can also check out Paul's Dspfailure episode 1 of season 2. It's a great watch. All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. Later.